Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
I
How
tried to
are
change it up a little bit.
you?
You didn't even realize.
No, I did. I realized it. I saw it. Congratulations. It was very exciting, Brock.
Who else had a long weekend?
Who else lives in a blue city that was under fire from criminals and goons and kids, teenagers marauding and terrorizing their light up night festivities and such? Let's light the Christmas tree, kids. Come on, let's go down to the Times Square or whatever.
Can I tell you this? Can I tell the story real quick? My
Yeah.
friend dresses up for
As
Market
Santa.
Square as Santa Claus. Drives up from Virginia to do it.
Market Square is a little cute shopping district just off of downtown.
Not anymore, but
Yes, and now it's been ruined.
he said he had kids saying "F you, Santa Claus." I didn't get anything. F you, Santa Claus. I'm like, boy, I'm like, how'd you respond? I ignored him. I've been like, why'd you expect to get anything? Listen to you, little shit.
No, but I mean, it leads to gunfire, madness in Chicago,
Fights in Pittsburgh.
And what is it? What is it? Why? Why is this allowed? This is your sanctuary. Hi, sanctuary state. Hi, sanctuary city, whose sister city is what again?
Wuhan.
Wuhan, China. China.
Wuhan.
It just sounds and feels so damn cozy, doesn't it? With a socialist who's in charge of the county. I mean, like, honestly, what could go wrong?
And been run Democratic for 80 years.
You know what?
What's the problem?
You're forcing people to choose. Am I willing to stay here and fight to make it better? Or do I realize the job is so insurmountable that it's going to break my heart to see this city be permanently flushed down the toilet? I'm going to leave before that happens.
I'm calling for...
That's me.
Where's the National Guard for Pittsburgh?
That's where I am.
You're killing business.
Absolutely. I want to tell you about the wellness company. They've got something called TheraBlue. It is a pain reliever cream. And you know that ache that just doesn't go away, the one that ice, heat, Advil, what have you, doesn't seem to touch, like hardly. What if you could target that pain at the cellular level instead of just numbing the outside layer of it? That is exactly what TheraBlue was designed to do. It is the next generation pain relieving peptide gel, again from the wellness company. You guys know how I feel about these guys, right? It is a pain relieving peptide gel that works deeper than the skin surface. It's powered by AQA, Aqua Molecular Delivery Technology, which delivers peptides and botanicals directly into muscle tissue for legitimate lasting relief. Its hero ingredient is a copper peptide that promotes collagen synthesis. It reduces inflammation and it helps accelerate repair. And natural extracts, including turmeric, white willow bark, and ginger soothe inflammation, while menthol, camphor, and eucalyptus deliver instant cooling relief. It absorbs fast. It leaves your skin refreshed, not greasy. You put on a thin layer, massage it until absorbed, and let your body experience lasting recovery. Get 10% off right now. Go to twc.health/Wendy. Okay, that is all you need to do. You use my name to get the 10%. twc.health/Wendy at checkout. Put Wendy in it, and you're going to get that discount. I think it sounds wonderful, and the idea of going deeper into you, I think, is a winner. Who wouldn't want to be a part of that? Look, you've got your own apothecary when you partner with the wellness company, and you're like, I don't need to talk to my, pharmacist who tried to tell me that ivermectin was bad for me. I'm not saying that all pharmacists did that, but quite a few did. And so people have taken medical stuff, treatment of pain and discomfort into their own hands. twc.health/Wendy. Promo code Wendy.
Well, nowadays,
TheraBlue.
Nowadays, you know what they're going to give you already. Before you even walk in. You actually go to the...
Do you have a flu shot?
Yeah. I'm going to come in.
No.
I have this wrong with me. I'll pretend...
Did you get the shingles shot?
Yeah. I'll pretend that I don't know what you're going to give me.
Did you get your COVID booster?
You're going to give me antibiotics. You're going to give me a Z-Pack. You're going to...
Brock and I are like, we're a well-oiled machine. We can talk over each other at just the right times, and you feel like you understood what everybody was saying, hopefully.
If not Oh, well.
75.2 followers. Let's get it up to 75.3 today.
And happy birthday, Demanda.
Yes, Demanda. I'm sorry, Brock didn't tell me. He knew, but I didn't. I was on the soccer pitch
How do I get blamed?
in Eastern Pennsylvania, not knowing about Demanda's birthday.
Need a raise to be the manager, too.
Whatevs. Let's go. We need 1.5 before we start. We're at 1.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hello, America. Greetings to all of you across the beautiful fruited plain. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. As always, I'm delighted and honored to be able to spend some time with you today. If you're new, I do always say this off the top. WendyBellRadio.com is a great way to find us. And the whole show is broadcast live online, so you can watch the commercial breaks and everything. I don't know, maybe you're bored getting ready for your Thanksgiving. Maybe you want a family that feels comfortable around the holidays. Well, that is what we are, and you are always welcome at our table. So if you are new, if you're an old timer too, you've been here for a while, welcome home, and thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. I took my bread and I soaked up my gravy this weekend, about 3.5 hours east of Pittsburgh on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, which, by the way, 3.5 hours costs you $54. Just everybody so you know, totally ridiculous. Beautiful drive. The sun is setting as we drive east towards Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where my sons, Bobby and Chris, had a soccer tournament. This is the last tournament before the winter season, before things go inside and people play futsal, indoor soccer, which my kids are not a fan of. So this was going to be the last time that their travel team was going to go on the road before the spring season, when they'll probably play a couple more times. Before these boys, by and large, hang up their cleats on athletics, organized athletics, probably forever. And Joe and I jump at every opportunity we can to be able to enjoy this. Now, not a big traveler to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, but after having been there, I would encourage anybody, if it's been a while since you've gotten on the road and maybe driven 3 hours outside of town to go somewhere totally different, do it. Take that time to go travel and then park it somewhere and see what America is still like. Because America is not represented by what happened in Chicago over the weekend. It's not represented by what happened in my community in Pittsburgh over the weekend. Out of control rioting, young people rioting, terrorizing people who took their families to celebrations of the holiday season. That's not the story that I got in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I got rolling hillsides of the most beautiful colors you've ever seen, a green that doesn't appear in your Crayola box. It's indescribable. Beautiful streaks of clouds jutting across the sky, a crescent moon. As we drove along past the acres and acres of farmland and the silos, American flags painted on barns as big as you could see. Pulling in about 7 p.m., Lancaster, Pennsylvania, checking at the hotel. And it's like we've stepped back in time, where people are friendly and attentive and they're happy you're there. We had a wonderful meal with people who seemed to care about what they were doing, and food that was made as though the people in the kitchen cared. And then watching our sons play 4 games in 2 days and go all the way to win the championship. The medal at the end of the day isn't the experience. It might be the photo op. It might be that picture that they all remember that I forced them all to get together and take that picture. That's not it. It was about young men, 17 of them on this team, who all had been in other club travel leagues, some very competitive, some not so much, who had it with organized sports, who had it with the promises of development, but it really being a big moneymaker for some organization. And each of these kids, my sons included, dropped off of these expensive travel clubs. And they banded together to create their own team. They created their own team with their own lineup, with their own everything. And they work together like small business owners, like they're entrepreneurs creating something that they know is fleeting, but as the clock is ticking and their days to play are winding down, they go forward with every intention of going out with a bang. There will be a time, and it's upcoming quickly, where all 17 of those boys graduate and move on to different life chapters, open up doors to new challenges in college and all that happens. And I doubt they'll ever all be together the way they were this weekend. And as a parent, isn't that what you hope for? Isn't that what you work for? Isn't that what you take them to practice and teach them and all of this for? Ultimately, for them to leave. Everything about Lancaster was like old-time Americana. The diners, the cute ways in which neighborhoods had lit up their communities for Christmas, the attention to detail, the beautiful plants and flowers, poinsettias, all of it. Everybody seemed like it was the old days. Walked into a restaurant with a whole team, and there's a dad with 2 of his kids. And you know what the kids were doing at the table? They were coloring. No electronics, no fighting. Old time. Sometimes you got to get in the car. You got to see the road. You got to go into that turnpike turnstile, come out the other side, and see maybe what you've been missing. Because if you're in a blue city the way I live, it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel warm. It's not clean. It's not safe. It's disorganized and people are angry. And you can feel it. Not in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It was completely irrelevant that the kids played well, to be honest. But what we saw in the stands was like that last chapter. When your little boy, you see, is now a full-grown man. And you look back and you sit down and you go through the pages of your family album. And my gosh, does it happen fast. Look, we don't have a whole lot of time to waste to do what needs to be done. America deserves to be Lancastered. We deserve to feel good walking down the street. We deserve to have neighbors who look out for one another. We deserve local governance that actually cares, that looks for ways to serve the people instead of always going to the people to pay for their fraud and abuse. We deserve schools that don't groom but teach, and teach the good old-fashioned stuff. You know, long division, how to change a tire, check your oil, boil an egg, sew on a button. All of that stuff that was so baked into the good old days. I had a flavor of it this weekend. And curiously, as I considered the demographics of the boys on the team, it's the exact demographics of this country. About 65% white, 17% black, 7% Asian, but we didn't have any Hispanics. And you know what everybody does in the stands? All of that melting pot of racial difference. Everybody enjoys their children. There is no fighting. There is no ridiculous conversation. It was true, pure joy. I want that. I believe this president wants that. And I believe everything that he has done thus far to clean up our cities, to identify all of the dangers, to go out of his way, to be the one man who not only undoes 30 years of damage to this country, he wants to bring back that fire, that candle, that small town vibe of manufacturing and production and farming and trucking and all of it. And he wants everybody to have a seat at that table. I believe that. And the people who are against that, you have to ask yourself, why? Why? Get on the road. See America. It's worth saving. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's talk about more winning for President Trump. Sam Alito, Supreme Court Justice, grants an administrative stay on a pretty big lower court ruling that is significant. And Anonymous, one of our favorite TikTok or rather X accounts, drops a very timely video that I think you're going to enjoy next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. So weird thinking about it. I'm looking at the boys, white boys, black boys, Asian kid, nobody cares. They all are just enjoying the ride. Isn't that what it's supposed to be? Aren't we supposed to enjoy the ride? We're not supposed to dread the journey. We're not supposed to worry about how we're going to afford it. We're not supposed to sit there and think we're never going to get what our parents got. We're never supposed to say the American dream, damn it, ends with me. That's not the story. That's not the story. I guarantee you that is not the story. I want to tell you about the Healthy Fat. Got a great testimonial about Dr. Gundry's mix. Now, it's a dietary supplement, which is huge because he used it to lose 70 pounds, which is wild. But it's that slow, steady weight loss. So you drink it instead of maybe eating lunch or breakfast or what have you. But what it does for cravings, for your sweet tooth, for that feeling like you have in the middle of the day where you're like, oh my God, I have to have something. It completely kills it, which is brilliant. And I want to read you this from a young woman. Her name is Kate. Kate is from Ohio, Beaver Creek, Ohio. And she said, I decided to try Healthy Fat, and it definitely takes my sugar cravings away. I used to have I've had one canister so far. I don't really weigh myself, she says, but I feel so less bloated, and I'm eating 100% less sugar and food than I used to. I'm in for the long haul. I don't work out a whole lot. I walk my dogs, but I'll tell you what, I am a major sugar fiend. And this has completely killed that for me, which is brilliant. Thank you so very much. How much I love it so far. I'm going to try Blood Flow 7 next, she says. I love you. Kate, thank you for that. Super cute that you took the time to do that. The Healthy Fat. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. It's what I'm drinking. It's what all sorts of people, thousands, Dr. Gundry says, have had it and have lost significant weight. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. I've shown it to you before, but just so you know, that's it. Yum. You're going to be like, yes, I needed that. Thank you very much. I'd be drinking it if I didn't have Crescent Mountain coffee right now. What a necessary trip. The $54 one-way ticket on the Turnpike is ridiculous.
Right.
$104, $108.
And a tank and a half of gas.
Thank you.
It cost me a little less to go to Gettysburg, but it's about close.
1.62. Come on, guys. We need to hit 2. Let's hit 2. We need 400 people. I mean, that's a huge ask to hit the thumbs up bubble underneath the video box. I have terrific confidence in you. See? As I tell my kids, believe and you will achieve.
Oh, boy.
They're like, Mom, shut up. Go away. You're embarrassing me. Stop it. I'm going to have to show you guys the picture. It's super cute. So administration go roughshod. They are against the law. They're breaking the law. He's signing these executive orders. They're pushing the boundaries. This is just terrible. And if you pay attention to all of the rulings that the Supreme Court has had to weigh into, because of all of these political activist judges who've been installed under Obama or Biden or what have you, Trump's track record is pretty daggone good. And you know how you have a good track record with the Supreme Court? You don't muddy the law. You dance within the boundaries of it. You understand what it says. And you have a very expensive, very bright team of lawyers surrounding you who've had to battle in front of courts and judges before for years. And Sam Alito weighed in. He's like, look, this gerrymandering thing that you're all worried about on the left, what Texas is doing, of course, Democrats say it's racially drawn and discriminatory congressional redrawing of the districts in Texas, which will ultimately give Republicans 5 extra seats in the House of Representatives. Sam Alito comes out and he's like, you know what? Because the lower court said, you're not allowed to do that. We don't like that. So no, that's not going to happen. Good luck with that. They appealed it to the high court. Alito says, look, we're not looking at it just yet, but we're going to push a hold on this. We're going to consider it a little bit more fully. Excuse me, but this is definitely a win for President Trump. And this is what it said. A federal panel in Texas ruled last week that the state's newly drawn congressional map likely dilutes Latino voting power through racial gerrymandering and ordered it to be returned to the 2021 map, which doesn't give, of course, Republicans any kind of advantage. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton appealed immediately, dog on a bone, powerful voice in that position. And he argued that the map pursues valid partisan aims. They put it out on the table. Look, Democrats have been doing this to benefit Democrats for years. We're doing it now to benefit Republicans. They've done it. We're doing it. Tell me I'm wrong. And Sam Alito says, well, you're not wrong. His administrative stay preserves the new drawing of the map while the Supreme Court reviews responses. And I guess it's going to have to make a decision by today. The decision allows Texas to move forward with primaries under the map, which could help Republicans gain up to 5 seats in the midterms. Now, that is the important part, but that's not the only state where this is going on. See, if the Supreme Court comes forward and says, you know what, Democrats, you've been doing this gerrymandering for a long time, and the Republicans, quite frankly, have been asleep at the wheel. But you set the precedent, and now they can continue. Well, who else is following suit? Is it Indiana? Maybe. How about South Carolina? Apparently, South Carolina right now is considering redrawing its lines. In a huge move, the state announced that they're moving forward with redistricting its U.S. House map for the 2026 midterms, eliminating the sole Democrat from the state. This is the way the game works, and Democrats don't like it. Now, you guys have been following this military member, the senators, the congressmen who come forward, the 6 who made the video, encouraging active duty military to basically push back against Donald Trump if he does anything that they think is illegal. Complete sedition, right? Anonymous, the deep fake quotes account that we love so much. He explains how those former military lawmakers who encouraged troops to disobey direct orders actually broke military code and proved that the Democrat Party no longer exists. Listen.
Many are asking whether this was sedition or treason, but there is a third statute, one that fits their actions with mathematical precision. 18 U.S.C. Section 2387. Activities affecting armed forces. It prohibits, and this is word for word, advising, counseling, urging, or in any manner causing or attempting to cause insubordination, disloyalty, mutiny, or refusal of duty by any member of the military. Penalty, up to 20 years in federal prison. This law is not retaliatory politics. This law is not about defending one man. This law is about defending civilian control of the military, the backbone of the republic. And this law has been violated.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community.
This was a group of lawmakers, including former CIA, speaking directly to the military, undermining the authority of the commander-in-chief, and by extension, every general, every officer, every enlisted soldier down the line. Break the chain at the top and you break the entire military. Break the military and you break the nation. Yes, it's that serious. The individuals responsible should face consequences, censure, expulsion, prosecution, not because of who they attacked, but because of what they endangered. My friends, we are all anonymous, and to my Democrat friends, ask yourself honestly, what will it take for you to leave your party? Because the party you once knew no longer exists.
That's powerful. It's undeniable. Yeah, we're going to talk about this story in hour number 3 today, but I wanted to lay that out to you early. People in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in Cleveland, all over this country, the people who have been abandoned by government that doesn't care are tired of that government getting away with everything. And that is what gave rise to MAGA, not Trump. Love of country. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Zoran goes to Washington. Let's talk about what the sit-down with Zoran Mamdani and President Trump sounded like and why progressive chicks are so hacked. I love it. Next. See, it's so hard because that happened on Friday, right? And so it's been in the news for a little bit, but I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was interesting, and I think it really underscores that Donald Trump is like, hey, look, I'm here to work with you. Like, I believe that you have the opportunity to do something to make New York City great again. I don't agree with your policies. I don't agree with communism or socialism or Marxism or what have you, but I do understand that you are elected, and as such, you have great potential. I want to help you with your potential.
I think the greatest thing he did was, what are they all saying? Resist, 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 fight, 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 fight him. And then Trump goes, we're going to work together. We agree on a lot of
I'm not
things.
interested in fighting. Let's help New York City.
That way he
Deflates
pisses off
yes.
the progressives, because now something doesn't work. Trump said, hey, I was willing to help.
Mamdani found himself in a real pickle.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a real progressive pickle because the left demands fealty. It does not want any kind of debate. It wants no diversion from what they say, right? Which is so contrary to the overarching, like, we're such good people. We welcome everybody. Some of the most exclusive, racist, discriminatory, judgmental, miserable people in the world are the ones who are like, but I'm a good person. And you're like, wow, We didn't need 87,000 IRS agents. We needed some freaking therapists, stat on the street. All right, let me tell you about the healthy. No, let me tell you about blood flow. This is my jam. This is what I love. This is what I appreciate every single day. If I take this in my bag for a weekend trip to Eastern Pennsylvania, you know I love it. I'm like, I'm not going to waste one night's sleep by not having my oxygen and my blood flow moving. So what the key is to this, you take this capsule, right? You're supposed to take 2 a day, but people say they've been taking 1. I take 2. And it has nitric oxide in it. It's a molecule that opens up your blood vessels, more blood flows to the body. It offers you a sharper focus. You feel like you're less in the clouds, less in the, out in the haze. You focus, you have stamina, you have strength, you have endurance, you have a Tasmanian devil, almost like you're going to get stuff done. And you notice it because normally if you hit a wall at a certain time during the day, you don't. And then when it's time for you to go to bed because you're not yawning in the half of the day, you're not fatigued. By the time you put your head on the pillow, you're like, good night. And Zonk City, I'm telling you, bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Period. I subscribed. I could get it for free. And she wasn't getting into us fast enough. And I'm like, Brock, you've got to order it. And so we are subscribers. I would not subscribe to something I could get for free unless I wanted it stat at a specific time. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Try it, like I say, and let me know. WendyBellRadio@gmail.com. I know it's very catchy. So we'll see what the Supreme Court does with Texas. They've got a lot of things going on. Hopefully, none of these things is really all of that much of a mystery, but the percentage of Trump victories thus far and all of this legal wrangling that's exposed how many judges are just wacko, and how they're willing to put dangerous people back on the streets to put you and the people you love in danger. No wonder people flee cities and go places like Lancaster, Pennsylvania. They go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. Right? I mean, obviously the Commonwealth is where I live, but you've got these communities by you as well. No wonder people want to get out of the cities. Mm-hmm. I want the good old fashioned values. I want to be able to go to the diner and get biscuits and gravy and know the people who work there, Well,
you know my buddy,
John.
He's Pittsburgh through and through.
Right?
And I mean, when you talk Yinzer, that's him.
Mm-hmm.
And
people don't know what that means. There's an accent in Pennsylvania and it's in Pittsburgh. They call it it's Yinzer. You speak Yinzer.
Right.
Brock speaks that
and
way.
He born, raised, loves this city. Has been gone for 5 years now, I think. Mm-hmm. He's like, I don't even recognize this place anymore.
No. You're seeing these cities absolutely crumble, and this exodus from people who don't want to. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to get on the turnpike, go into Ohio, and go past Lordstown, the old GM plant. You lose factories like that. You lose the middle of the country, which created Trump.
You lose what's great about the small towns. That's
yes.
what I love. That's why I'm so fond of Zelienople and Harmony, where I grew up. It's just
get in the car and go somewhere, whether it's Latrobe or Ligonier or what have you. You don't have to go far to get your bread and gravy, and to sit back and be like, okay, it's not all lost, but do you really want to continue living in this environment that feels like it's never going to change? We just got a new mayor. It's the same thing as the old guy.
Yeah.
He's just white instead of black, but it's the same thing. Black, white, doesn't matter. Democrat, they're all Democrats. Nobody cares. Nobody knows what to do. Nobody makes life better. And it's so disappointing. Well, welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. So Zoran went to Washington on Friday, and he and President Trump had their meeting in the Oval Office, and you had to love as Trump opened up the office to the media. And so Trump is sitting behind the Resolute desk, as he does, and Zoran is standing to his right. And over Zoran's shoulder on the wall is the Declaration of Independence. Trump keeps it behind curtains, and it's wide open. You know for a fact that Trump warmly welcomed a self-avowed Democrat, socialist, communist, whatever the hell he is, who has called him a fascist, a dictator, a despot, all these things, terrible things, whatever. He's welcomed this young man, 34, into the Oval Office and is giving him a tour of American history to show him the magnitude of the last couple hundred years, to walk him through where we came from, and to say to him, look, I know that you and I aren't going to be 100% aligned, but it is about making America great again. And for you, it's about making New York City great again. And I'm going to help you because I care about New York City. I care about America. Trump cares about Chicago, his aggrieved truth over the weekend, and this absolute chaos that left so many people shot, a 14-year-old dead, and just absolutely ruined what should be something peaceful and blissful and family. Zoran is standing there. A reporter asks him, you know, you talk about free transportation, public transit in New York City, but you took a plane. I want you to hear the many times President Trump stepped in with grace to allow Zoran Mamdani to look like a hero, to look like a grown-up, to look like a stud. Trump did that. Listen.
Why did you fly here? Aren't trains greener?
I will use every form of transit, and I want to make sure that they're all affordable in New York City, and that's why making buses fast and free is a centerpiece of our campaign.
There is a bus that goes.
Well, but I know, but it'd be fluid. That's a lot quicker too. You know, I mean, he's working very hard. For him to be, that's a very long drive. I'll stick up for you. You know, the plane takes you 30 minutes, and driving takes you a little.
So he's tapping him on the arm. He's smiling at him. His hands are crossed in front of him, Trump's. He leans back and looks at Zoran, who actually doesn't look terribly uncomfortable. He looks like almost John Fetterman did when Fetterman got back from his sit down, or Bill Maher did when he got back from his sit down. It's like all that you've heard about President Trump goes away. And in that moment, and very few people have that skill, it can make you feel like you're the only person in the world. Brock and I had the opportunity to meet President Trump. I can attest to that feeling. So then another reporter says, well, what do you think? You're sitting here all buddy-buddy with the president who you've called a fascist and a dictator and a despot. Do you still believe those things? This is the most uncomfortable position this young mayor can be in. Trump to the rescue.
Just days ago, you referred to President Trump as a despot who betrayed the country. You said you would be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views, and what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are.
And I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting. Maybe I think he'll change his mind after we get to working together. Yes, please.
You called him a fascist. You still believe he's a fascist? I don't really care what he thinks, Trump says. You can call me anything. I've been called every name in the book. Let's do something that's great for New York City. Carving through that. Audio soundbite number 3. Would you, Mr. President, would you consider living in New York City? Would you feel safe there? Would you like living in New York City with a mayor, Zoran Mamdani? Again, Grace, this president who everybody throws everything at, who's everybody's favorite scapegoat. They don't even know why they blame him or what they blame him for. They just blame him. Showing yet again grace.
Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a Mamdani administration?
Yeah, I would. I really would. Especially after the meeting. Absolutely.
What makes you comfortable?
We agree on a lot more than I would have thought.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about.
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's easier.
Yes.
It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
It's easier than so they can't let it go. And rightly so. You've been saying he's a fascist. You've met the guy. What is it like? You still think he's a fascist? Trump to the rescue. Just say yes. Taps him on the arm like his son. Tap, tap. But it's not contrived. I didn't get that vibe. I didn't think he was anything other than what he always is. Trump is a brick wall. He is a brick wall. He is absolutely dependable. He does not raise his voice. He does not fly off the handle. He's not rude. Now, he can say things that you might find uncomfortable. But in Trump's world, they are true. And he speaks the truth, tapping Zoran Mamdani like his son and saying, you don't have to answer that. Just say yes. It's easier. And Mamdani says, okay, good. Thank you, Mr. President. Grace. Audio soundbite number 4. This is interesting. This reporter says, you know what? After you won and you beat Cuomo, and after watching the feckless pomp and circumstance of the government Schumer shutdown, we don't like Jeffries, we don't like Schumer. Are you the de facto head of the Democrat Party? Listen.
Well, look, I hope they have great leaders. This is a man that right now I think is focused on New York City. I really think he has a chance to do a great job. We're going to help him, but I really think he has a chance to do a great job. But I'll let you answer that. You consider yourself the leader of the Democrats? I think it's more appropriate for him.
I consider myself the next mayor of New York City, and I keep my horizons firmly on New York City, and I appreciate the meeting with the president, which focused again on the 5 boroughs and whether New Yorkers could afford to live there.
By the way, being the mayor of New York City is a big deal.
Absolutely.
I always said, one of the things I would have loved to be someday is the mayor of New York City. Being the mayor of New York, and especially now, because I think you're at really a turning point, one way or the other. It could go great, or it can go in a different direction. And I think you really have a chance to make it great. I appreciate what's happening.
Mr. President.
With a handshake, graceful. I believe you're in a really tough spot, Zoran. This is not going to be an easy job. And with grace, he says, I've always wanted that job. You have that job. I'm kind of jealous because you're at a wonderful crossroads where you can be extraordinary or you can watch the city fall apart. And it's on your shoulders. I am here to help. I believe you can do it. Wow. Do you think Zoran Mamdani went to Washington, D.C. on Friday thinking that Donald Trump was going to warmly treat him, to respectfully address him, to welcome him into the White House and say, welcome. Let's get to work. Guarantee you he didn't. Now, this is former Utah Congressman Jason Chaffetz, excuse me. He's on Fox, and he's talking about how Zoran promised New York City the universe. We're going to do free this and free that and blah, 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 blah. And now he's really in this pickle session, right? He's in a squeeze, and he has to figure out how to deliver, and he can only deliver with President Trump's help. Listen.
Picking up on what we're hearing from this meeting today and following up on what Charles Payne was saying, it's what Abraham Lincoln said. You don't make a weak man strong by making a strong man weak. And Mamdani has a fundamentally different approach than conservatives, which is, hey, guess what? There is no problem which government can't be involved and engaged in.
Right.
That is so fundamentally different. So, yeah, he's got 600.
So why not point it out if you're President Trump? Just not the way he does things?
You don't need to do it on the meeting one, but all of a sudden, how's he going to come up? He gets a softball question prior to this meeting. How are you going to come up with the $600 or $700 million to give everybody free bus passes? Well, we'll figure out how to fund that later. How are you going to do the grocery stores? How are you going to take that over? How are you going to push out all the billionaires? All those campaign promises. Donald Trump, I'm telling you, it's a masterclass in working with people, but Mamdani's the one that set the bar so high, there's no way he can achieve it.
Well, this is curious. See, this is why I say we need to pay close attention to millennials and Generation Z. Because by 2036, in another 10 years, those two generations are going to represent 60% of the electorate. 60%. Have those people realized the American dream? Or have they watched and been promised the world and had it not delivered? I believe Zoran Mamdani to President Trump is a true window to the future. And he would be foolish to cut him out. Young people pay attention. They want progress, whether they live in New York City or in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We are not that different. We aren't. John Fetterman, so interesting over the weekend. He's like, isn't it wild how you get Zoran, a communist, socialist, going to meet with President Trump, and he's literally treated with kid gloves. But with me, Fetterman says, when Trump invites me to Mar-a-Lago and I travel to meet him and sit down and have dinner with him, I'm a traitor. I'm worth primary. I'm now mud. He's like, isn't that a very intriguing exercise in hypocrisy? Listen.
We actually have some common ground with me and the socialist guy. We both agree that it's reasonable to meet with the president if they invite to sit down and talk to them. And I think what's different is that I haven't seen a lot of blowback for Mamdani to do this, but I got a lot. And I think it's perfectly reasonable to sit down and have this conversation. And that's what I've done back in January. And I do expect that it's going to be cordial. And I think overall it's going to be a regular conversation overall.
Isn't it all so interesting? He and that socialist guy, right? They both were invited to meet with the president. And they both did. And the treatment could not be more different. And John Fetterman seeing exactly the rot in his party. As Anonymous said, the Democrat Party that you used to think of, it doesn't exist. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, his ultimate political pickle. What does Zoran do? He needs the president, but he can't act like it because his socialist base is a rabid bunch of wacko chicks. Oh my! Let's open that Pandora's box next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I thought Trump was great. He treated him very cordially. He was warm. It's what he does. You know what he got? Zoran got Zelensky. Zelensky thought he was going to go and be rude. And he was going to go and he was going to dress like a goof. He was going to be disrespecting of the office and of the man. And it didn't work out very well, did it? And then what happened when he came back? Well, he looked like he was in the mob, but he was wearing a suit, or at least a tie, right? And a lot of that arrogance kind of evaporated. Yeah, I don't think so. Vladimir? Yeah, I don't think so. Zoran? So, I don't know. I thought it was brilliant. Brilliant! And he completely took the wind out of the sails of the Democrats and the media. All right, let me tell you guys about Healthy Cell. HealthyCell.com. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. Calm mood. I think the things that I enjoy that we provide on this program that are health related, they aren't prescriptions. It's not giving money to pharma. It's not something that you're going to get addicted to. It's not some injection. It's the opposite. It's you being in charge of what you feel you need help with. So if you struggle with anxiety, right, you need to just tone it down, you stress. How about taking a microgel from Healthy Cell? It has all of the things in it that a lot of the prescriptions have, but comes in this form, which is like 165% more absorbable by your body than popping a Xanax. I don't want to be on drugs. I don't want to not feel the world, right? Sometimes you need a little help to take the edge off. Calm mood. healthycell.com/Wendy. Their products are phenomenal. I love them. Focus and recall every single day. I'm telling you. Take my focus and recall challenge. Go to healthycell.com/Wendy. Look, if you haven't bought anything, I think your promo, you get 20% off your first order, which is great. Try one of the formulas. Try focus and recall. You got a project you're working on. You've got something you've got to do. You're finding it, or you're disjointed. Try it. Try it for a month. Try it for a month. There's 2 months supply in these, I believe. How many are there? Yes. And try it and see how you feel. And then you'll be like, oh my gosh, I don't have to take pills. I hate pills. Right? healthycell.com/Wendy. Yeah, how about that? 8 injured, 14-year-old dead, 300 juveniles rioting in Chicago. Trump's National Guard is preparing to leave because they have all of these legal maneuverings in Chicago. Why do Democrats always put America last? They don't care. They want the illegals. They want the drugs. They want the trafficking. They want the grift. They want the SNAP abuse. They want welfare fraud. They want Medicaid and Medicare fraud. Really? Yes, we'll talk about what's her face, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Interested in what you guys think about that. I've gotten lots of different perspectives. 7,200 watching. Hi, guys. 2.2. Let's get up to 2.5. Come on, we could do this. 300. You know, I really want 2.77, but okay. Oh, CB Distillery's back. I'm so excited. We'll have to talk about it. He got Vladimir Zelensky. Zelensky showed up at the White House looking like he'd come in from the battlefield, right? He's wearing his boots. He's wearing his khakis. He's got his black whatever ensemble on. Bleh. No suit, no tie, no respect. And then he had the audacity, sitting to the right of the president in the Oval Office, to finger wag, interrupt J.D. Vance and call him J.D. Excuse me, Mr. President. I don't think so. I think Mondami went, kind of thinking he's puffed up. Trump is this blowhard. He's a despot. He's a fascist. I'm going to tell him, or I'm going to stand my ground. And there is Trump, who is warm and inviting and supportive, who gushes over the caliber of the job, who acknowledges that it's going to be the job of a lifetime, that America's largest city of millions of people are dangling in the balance. And Zoran Mamdani knows that he's promised them the sky. I want you to hear this woman. Her name is Vicky Palladino. She's a New York City councilwoman. And she's like, look, Mamdani's going to go back to his base of progressives who are going to be so hacked off that he was buddy-buddy with Donald Trump. And he's going to find himself in a very uncomfortable situation. Listen.
Hey, Trump played chess. Today was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I am in the city council. I work with DSA council members. And I will tell you this. This guy's got a lot of answering to do when he comes back to New York, because he's got the DSA Linda Sarsour types that are going to hold his hands over the fire for taking a meeting with Trump, let alone come out of it buddy-buddy. I think Trump was brilliant. I think Mamdani actually, we need the president, cannot move forward without federal dollars. So he knows he's between a rock and a hard place. And this has always been the question about Zoran. How is he going to navigate this? How's he going to appease the DSA? Because that's who he is clearly. And they stand behind him 100%. He's going to have a hard time explaining this to them. Now, to the point of taking up with Trump, it was brilliant. It was necessary. It had to be done. I come from a district and I come from a city that they are terrified of what this young man is going to bring to the city of New York as far as his anti-Semitism and his socialistic ways. He's made no bones about it. I think what Trump is going to do, we didn't see this behind closed doors, but I think Trump laid it out really, really square because that's what Trump does.
I love how she says New York. And so meantime, speaking of the DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America, which is apparently the hot new thing to be a part of, psycho. How about these people protesting outside of the White House, protesting, angry that the New York City mayor took an audience with the president? A Lindell TV reporter is talking to a woman holding a sign that says, America is not a Christian nation. Listen to the thought process of the socialist, progressive, white, liberal woman. It's crazy and it is diagnosable. And sadly, it's an epidemic.
What do you think about President Trump and Zohran Mamdani getting along so well? I think that Zohran might be wearing a MAGA hat soon.
I think Trump knows his goat is cooked and he's trying to get his head above water any way he can.
Mamdani took back the fact that he said he was a fascist. He backrolled that. What do you think?
He's wrong. Trump is a fascist.
So you think Zohran Mamdani is inaccurate?
I think Trump is a fascist.
But Zohran doesn't.
That's fine. He can have his own beliefs. That's the thing about the United States. We can all have our own ideas. I believe
and our own
Trump
religions.
Right. And your religion doesn't get to touch my body because I don't buy it.
Okay. You think that murder is not a sin?
I would say that I don't need the threat of eternal damnation and fiery hell to not murder people. Because I'm just a good person. I don't need the threat of
what
God
makes you a good
punishing
person?
Me. Because I have a moral compass and I don't try to hurt people.
Except, I don't know, babies in utero. Other than that, I got nothing. I'm a good person. I wanted to play that for you because that right there is the progressive woman. That right there is that bizarre sanctimony. It is the do-goodery that makes them believe that what they're fighting for, it's their religion. It's not God. It's not settling down with somebody, making some family, having a white picket fence, enjoying your life. It is about resisting. It is about anger. And it's all baked into this overarching need for you to believe that they are good people. The young women in this country need an intervention. I don't know where it's going to come from. I don't, but it's necessary. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell Radio program continues right after this. Look, I'm telling you, this commercial driver's license scandal, the illegal aliens, it is way bigger than any of us could possibly imagine. The details on what they're finding on the roads, oh my, next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. She's whack. And by the way, if you're a locals member, which is lovely, if you click on the WBR Army button, it's a $5 a month fee. We give you 2 months free. And we give you access to the rundown every single day, every single clip, every audio bite, everything, every link, all of it, right? And you could click on that link of that woman where for another 4 minutes, you literally watch her crumble. She gets crazy. She becomes enraged. She turns up music and starts like yelling in the megaphone at the Lindell reporter. It's bonkers.
That's what you do when you can't, you have no point.
Thank you. See, when you're cornered and you've been putting yourself on high with no facts, so you can't defend what you are or what you think you believe because you've been brainwashed.
And because you run in the same circles as everybody else and they all say the same thing.
And then when you get your feet on the fire, the only thing you have back is to swear, right? Or to walk away and say, you're not worth my time. No, you can't defend your argument. And you know it. And you know it. It's all very intriguing.
The fact that she says, I have a moral compass.
I have a moral compass. She twists herself in knots.
But she doesn't say which way it points.
It's just, yeah, it's a very intriguing. All right, I want to tell you guys about CB Distillery. This is their Black Friday sale. So this is all this week. All this week, I have not seen them up to 60% off. And that is this week at cbdistillery.com. So Black Friday is here. CB Distillery is going big. Their biggest sale of the year is on right now. If you go to cbdistillery.com, use the promo code RUMBLE, and you're going to save up to 60% on anything you put in your cart. I'm talking about, let's see. You need to hear about their natural clean solutions for stress, for sleep, for mood and focus, pretty much everything you need to actually enjoy the holiday season. You have it at your fingertips, but you have it at a wicked discount. 60% off. cbdistillery.com, promo code RUMBLE. My favorite, well, I've been out of it for a while. It was this one, Relief and Relax. This is their 1,000 milligram. So even like on arthritis on my hands, my fingers, I would take a dropper and rub it into my knuckles and I would forget about the pain because it stops, right? I'm talking about clean, proven ways to improve your quality of life. cbdistillery.com, promo code RUMBLE up to 60. It's crazy. Now, did you hear anything from your friend from Sniper? How is it going at Sniper?
Having a hard time keeping stuff on the shelf because you guys. The Sniper, the Knockout, the Harmony, he keeps having to call and order. That already had to reorder some of the spices.
So we've just been talking about these spices. Like I was telling Brock, I'm like, I want some new flavor in my life. And he's like, well, you're going to get some soon. And I was like, what? And so Hunt Chef has these 12 different spices. Here's 2 of the 12. And I don't know. When was the last time you literally went through your spices and just junked them all because they've been there for 20 years? They have. You know they have.
Or you go to use them and you go, and the whole thing goes.
Yeah. And it's just like, come on, let's do something new. So anyway, we were talking about the spices and we were talking about Andrea steak sauce.
Yes.
So one of our viewers, I'm going to see if I can pull it up, is so happy to tell me that Andrea's, here we go. Nothing. I spelled it wrong. That this is how intently you guys pay attention to us. So, hold on. Of course, as I say this, come back.
I did try a new spice this week.
This woman said, look, I bought your spices and I heard you talk about some Andrea's steak sauce. So I searched it and I ordered that too. I'm like, what? You what? She's like, yeah, I'm getting it tonight. I'm making something with it tonight. So she's supposed to write back to me. I'm like, this is how much you guys listen to what we say, which is wild. Like it's my favorite things. And so why would you not like it? I don't know, but that makes me so delighted that you think you would. Disinfectwithsniper.com. This is the stuff that we're talking about. Literally, that with Chef IQ, the thermometer things, the temperature probes for cooking meat. You talk about a 1-2 punch for the greatest gift ever for the guy who has everything. He doesn't have that. I guarantee you, he doesn't have that. How you doing? Disinfectwithsniper.com. I love it. I love that he can't keep it on the shelves.
I tried it on
happy.
chicken. I made lunch for me and myself and Kate, and I used it. It tasted like chicken bouillon. It was all dusted up. And you don't need here's the great thing about that. You don't need a lot. You don't need a lot of the seasoning, which is nice. It's really strong. And it for Kate to say, for me to cook is one. For Kate to say, that's really good.
Right. I don't know. I'm all about I love that because of this, you guys literally launch other small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, that's what you do. You and your support opens the door to other people who want to start their own thing. And you've done it with 4 or 5 people related to us, I think. at a minimum, right?
Yeah.
The mom who does all of our etching and our merch. The gal, Lindsay, who manages our merchandise, she's got the opportunity to make thousands of dollars a year because you guys buy our stuff, right? The Disinfect with Sniper thing, that's like a side hustle for our friend, which is becoming...
It's not even a side hustle anymore.
It's becoming like...
You've changed his winter business.
Bread and butter. Yeah. So if there's no snow, and he usually sells salt and such...
He
doesn't have to worry about it. Doesn't have to worry about the weather. Because of you. I'm so grateful. You weirdos.
Wow.
But still, we don't have 2-5. This is
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
All right. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is on the clock. Remember, you can follow us all 3 hours, wendybellradio.com. Also, our podcast under the same name. 6 million downloads and growing. Thank you so very much for being part of our family. You know, what's going on with these truckers, it's a bigger deal than I think we're aware, even possibly aware of. There's no way to know how deep and for how long these illegal aliens have been getting commercial driver's licenses at schools, at trucking schools across the country in very specific cities and states, and then getting on the road and driving our highways. And I was on it over the weekend. Joe and I with the kids going to the soccer tournament in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. 3.5 hours there, 3.5 hours back. The tractor trailers are everywhere. And I told Joe, I'm like, look, I trust none of these people, which is absolutely tragic. They've infiltrated an American institution, and the results have been catastrophic. Oh, it's only a couple people who've been killed by these illegals who don't speak our language and don't understand the rules of the road. And in no place ever should they be given licenses to navigate these tractor trailers like 75-mile-an-hour missiles, and yet they do. So I want to say this. If you're still thinking of this ICE option out of Oklahoma, you guys hear about this? 91 out of the 120 illegals apprehended on the highways, and this is like a couple days, were somehow legally driving with a CDL. How's that possible? The majority of them were either Indian or Chinese, and the majority got their CDLs from California, New York, or Pennsylvania, or Illinois. Wow. How are illegals getting CDLs when having a social security number or a work visa is required to get one? I don't know. Maybe we have a lot of people who have broke our laws to get in this country who have been given access to not just social security numbers, not just driver's licenses, but access to vote in our elections. Now, let's just talk about the driving itself. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen from Oklahoma details this 10-hour big rig traffic stop. It's on Highway 40, I-40, whatever it is in Oklahoma. I think that's what it is. Or maybe I'm confusing this with the one in Texas. But he talks about this 10 hour traffic stop. And who they caught. Listen to Senator Mark Wayne Mullen.
We started catching so many semis on the road. The first time we did it is 110 illegal semis on the road that were driving with CDLs that literally said no name given. That was on the name. And they were coming from, the license were only issued in California and New York. We only did this for 10 hours. We took 110 off of one stop. This was a northbound, or I'm sorry, this was coming out of Amarillo, Texas. So it was going eastbound on I-40. We also did it on I-44, and we just finished one on 69 Highway coming out of Texas. Each time we had, and that, by the way, the 110 was just off the one coming out of Amarillo, Texas. The other numbers are staggering too. We took 10 felons off the road just 2 days ago coming out on 69 Highway coming in. The traffic, what you showed there, the trucks, we put an airplane in the sky. The trucks were stopping on truck stops and had the truck stops full in Texas, and they weren't coming into Oklahoma, and then they were rerouting around us because the traffic on 69 Highway that is normally just crammed with trucks all of a sudden went quiet.
Oh my gosh. You can get 100 plus illegal drivers in a small amount of time. And then when enough word has gotten out that this is what's going on, all the truck stops in advance of the way station, wherever the stop is, becomes all crowded. Is they're like, oh, snap. How do we get around this? So what Senator Mark Wayne Mullen said is we're going to now do a coordinated multi-state action so they can't get around the individual traffic stops. There's going to be nowhere to go. There's nothing else to do, ladies and gentlemen. These people must be taken off the road. Listen to the senator.
And so now we're working, trying to do a 13-state wide, all the same day, so these trucks can avoid us, to try taking these truckers off the road that are causing these accidents. And they're and literally every single one of them, Benny, have a license that are out of California or out of New York. And I'm not joking. The license underneath name says no name given. And it is the most absurd thing that you've ever seen.
We're not even trying to hide it. We're not even going to go through the theatrical performance of pretending that we got an actual license. We're not even going to put a fake name. No name given. Oh my. This is Laramie County Sheriff Brian Kozak. He's in Wyoming. He's like, look, way station inspections in my state are finding almost 1 in 3 semi drivers is an illegal alien who speaks not a lick of English.
40 criminal aliens were arrested and are awaiting deportation. The Laramie County Sheriff's Office partnered with the Wyoming Highway Patrol and the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement for this 3-day operation. We conducted 195 traffic stops, and Highway Patrol completed 133 commercial vehicle inspections, resulting in 44 trucks and 38 drivers being placed out of service. Our focus was to apprehend undocumented drivers, which tarnish the good reputation of professional commercial drivers who keep America moving. As a result of Operation Safe Haul, 40 criminal aliens are in custody and awaiting ICE removal. One had been convicted of a sexual assault and had been previously deported twice. Another had a DUI conviction and larceny convictions and been deported previously 5 times.
It's like the guy in Chicago who lit a woman on fire on the train over the weekend. He had 72 prior arrests. What are we doing? Nothing well, apparently. Nothing well. And speaking of qualified, hardworking, licensed drivers who care, I want you to hear from this one. This woman is a trucker who got sideswiped by an illegal alien who, like all the others, seems to know nothing of English, but did certainly try to flee the scene. Listen.
This is probably the most important video I've probably ever posted here on TikTok when it pertains to the trucking industry. For a long time, a lot of you have been asking what exactly happens to a truck driver when they're placed out of service by DOT for failure to speak or understand English. What exactly happens after that? I now have definitive proof of exactly what happens to a truck driver when they're placed out of service for failing to speak English, meaning their CDL is invalid. As some of you are already aware, this morning I was hit by another truck driver out on the roadway. The truck driver attempted to flee the scene of the accident. I chased him down and he pulled over onto the shoulder behind me, pretending that he was going to stop. But when I came to a stop, he whipped around me and tried to flee the scene of the accident a second time. I continued to follow him, and when he realized he wasn't going to be able to lose me, he finally pulled over onto the shoulder. At that point in time, I confronted the driver and identified immediately that the driver doesn't speak a single word of English and relies solely on translator apps on his phone to communicate. So this is the trucking company's DOT number, 3282075. October 12th, literally last month, a truck driver was placed out of service at this trucking company for not being able to pass the English proficiency test. The license plate to that truck is ZP41982. The license plate of the truck that hit me is ZP41982. 1 month ago, this driver was placed out of service by DOT because they failed to pass an English proficiency test, meaning their CDL was no longer valid until such a time that they could understand and read English. Yet despite that, 1 month later, they caused an accident on the roadway. And as you guys have seen, they are still not proficient in English and could not speak a single English word. I need this video to be shared, not just among truck drivers on social media and various platforms, but it needs to be shared to the news media. It needs to be shared to politicians. How many times have you seen DOT bragging about how many non-domiciled drivers that they've put out of service for failing to pass the English proficiency test, as though they're somehow making the roadways safer? But as you guys can see from the damage to my truck, ultimately it's a publicity stunt at best, because these drivers are climbing right back into their truck after they cause these accidents or get these out of services and continuing to pose hazards on the road. You asked what happens when a driver gets put out of service for failing an English test. The answer is they continue to drive that truck until they take somebody's life.
Look, that Washington bubble doesn't know what's going on in the real world. They're in their own little universe. They have no idea what is going on the highways. They have no idea what's going on in our communities. They have no idea that there's a generation of Americans who felt that the government has deceived them, has let them down, and has basically stolen from them the American dream. And therein is where Donald Trump's popularity came forward. He was the one guy who said, I feel you. I hear you. I will be your voice. I will be your warrior. Wake up, Washington. Is it only going to be when someone you love gets killed on the highway because of an illegal alien that you'll start paying attention? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning from Congress. What do you guys think about this? Well, let's go there next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I thought that woman, you know, you can take a bunch of people like truck drivers and put them in a box and be like, oh, dummies, all they do is drive. You have some extraordinarily patriotic, rules-following, brilliant people out there who are watching America on the road. They see more than we know. These are some of the most important people in our country, and their jobs have been stolen from them by companies that license people that they know are dangerous, because each one of those people is a bribe. Each one of those drivers is a payoff, and they would rather roll the dice with you and your family driving the Pennsylvania Turnpike home from a soccer tournament in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, than they will be to actually get it done, fix the problem, stop the grift, and make our roads safe again. It pisses me off.
Gotta start really finding the trucking companies, make it unaffordable for them to hire these people.
It's all... The Disc Institute of Pittsburgh, guys, I love talking about the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh. I love when people can get in touch with me and say that they are now in no pain. The pain of spinal stenosis, sciatica, a bulging or herniated disc is crippling, and it steals you of life joy. I'm sorry, but it's just not fun constantly hurt. So I would strongly encourage you to get in touch with Dr. Richard Rafferty from the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh and see if you're a candidate for his non-surgical therapy, which grows the discs back. Intra-disc neutrosis. It is wildly successful. Try 98%. So no needles, no cutting, no blood, right? You're not going to be howling in agony. It's not going to take you a year to recover. It is the therapy to grow the discs back. Beautiful. 412-906-9600. 412-906-9600. PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. The reviews I've gotten have been nothing but off the charts. Off the charts. And that website is so helpful if you're in pain and you're wondering, you're like, are they really going to be able to help me? I'm going to go with 98% of the time. Yeah. I like that.
This Marjorie Taylor Greene thing kind of agitated me.
Why so?
Because if you're going to resign now.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Well, now I have to gauge the public's opinion as I weigh whether or not I'm going to go for the governor position. Why would you do that? Internal polling showed you weren't going to win a Senate race, let alone, I think she fancied herself going after Raphael Warnock or John Ossoff. Ossoff.
And was
getting
polling was like 20%.
Getting obliterated.
Yeah.
Ultra, you gifted one subscription. Well, that's awful nice. Hi, guys. Hi, Stephen G. Better say something nice about me.
Wow.
Hi, Bad Uncle Frank. That's a new name. How you doing? Hi, Don Parcel. Hi, lock him up now. Hi, McMouse, Pod Racer. Hi, Shell 54.
Someone said I like Marjorie Taylor Greene because she's working for the American people. Is she?
I don't know.
and I'm not. Hey, to each their own. But if you're America First and you're bailing, and you're waiting to bail.
Well, it's interesting. This woman who's having trouble with her TikTok account because you see that the video was clipped.
Yeah.
Every audio is like it was. Anyway, she's got some issue on her phone, but what she says, I get. People see through it. Now we're suspicious of everybody. Hey, look, I tell you from the very beginning, I do not have some inside information. I don't have a cell phone number to somebody on Capitol Hill. I don't have some line of communication to get you some scoop. I know nothing other than my own perceptions about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Do I believe that Marjorie Taylor Greene loves America? I do. I do. And do I remember Marjorie Taylor Greene being very supportive of President Trump? I do. I do. Something happened along the way and things went sideways in their relationship. And then she started acting in a peculiar fashion. She was very anti his bombing, the military's bombing of Iran's nuclear stockpile. I don't understand that. She has issues with the president's stance on Israel. I don't necessarily understand that. And the whole government shutdown thing. She was adamant that the Republicans got it wrong. And I'm like, I don't really know what the Republicans were supposed to do during the shutdown, right? Because they weren't asking for anything but a little bit more time so that the House could figure out its issues and then sit down and buckle down and get to the business of Obamacare, which none of us voted for. So anyway, she's retiring, she says. She's resigning from Congress. Interestingly, she's going to do it at the beginning of January, which puts her 5 years in Congress, which means she gets a pension. I mean, it's kind of gross. I don't like that. I mean, whatever. She has to do her own decisions, make her own decisions. But let's see what she said. She was talking about basically being, I've always represented the common American man and woman as a member of the House of Representatives, which is why I've always been despised in Washington, D.C. and never fit in. The Americans are used to the political industrial complex, yada, yada, yada. And then she goes on to say, look, I'm tired of being the battered wife to President Trump. Can you imagine being everybody's scapegoat? Because that's exactly what she just did. President Trump doesn't like me. We've sunk me. I don't have the polling, but I'm still kind of holding my cards close to the vest. Maybe I'm going to run for governor of Georgia. Like, I don't know what she's thinking, right? But I do know she's a prolific stock trader, right? And she's done very well. Now, she did disclose before she ever took office, back in 2018, 2019, here it shows that she has a net worth of about $25 million. That's pretty significant. And people look at this and they say, holy cow, she's gained $10 million, right? Or has traded 555 trades since she took office. That's about one trade every 2.5 days. That's prolific. Do you guys do that? I don't. She had disclosed before she took office, before she got settled into Washington, that she has an interest, significant interest, in a company called Taylor Commercial Inc. Marjorie Taylor Greene, yes. So some family, whatever they do, it's between $5 and $25 million. Now, she has made 555 stock trades. So, and some of these happen to be curiously timed to hit specifically during the time that she's in a committee, right? So one must say to themselves, what exactly is the real story here? Is she an insider trader? Is she about to get busted? Is she worried about the fallout? Does Donald Trump, the polling data that he shared with her, is that true? Well, right now, according to YouGov, and this is a poll that was taken, let's see, yesterday, 5,937 adults. Favorability poll, let's see, 20% find Marjorie Taylor Greene favorable. Unfavorable, 51%. So 2.5 times unfavorable than favorable. Donald Trump knew. He told her, and he said so. You don't have the numbers. You're not going to make it. Something's not going to work for you. And before you embarrass yourself, maybe, just maybe, you might want to rethink. I don't know what happened to Marjorie Taylor Greene, ladies and gentlemen. I think she's been a fighter. I think she has stood up specifically for the January 6ers. I appreciated what she did for that. Kind of dropped off the map, though, didn't she? Did somebody get to her? Is something out about her? Is there a threat that's going to expose her for something? I don't know, but if you're going to get out, you should get out and not set a date that specifically allows you to get your pension. And I looked at the pension. It's not fantastic after 5 years, but it's certainly thousands of dollars a month for Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't know. I think it's curious. I think Trump knows exactly what's going on, which is why he distanced himself, but he also said, she is a good person. I wonder if he's opening the door. I wonder if they're playing everybody. I don't know. We'll see. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends, let's talk about this. President Trump dropping the hammer on those Somalian-led criminal enterprises in Minnesota, and they're only getting worse. Like, seriously, only getting worse. What the president said, and now why Attorney General Keith Ellison, who's big friends with the Soroses, why he's getting involved. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I'm sorry about that, guys. It just shut down, and while I'm talking and trying to get it back together,
We could still hear. That's why I didn't rush in.
Yeah, I figured as much. It was very odd. It's hard to have a train of thought when that's going on. I will tell you, it's definitely very difficult. Oh, my goodness, gravy. I love you guys. This stuff going on in California, too, with the Attorney General, Rob Bonta, that's getting really gnarly as well. I think that's going to blow up. Whew. With the dongs. Brock loves the dongs.
Wow. No.
No? Not a big fan of the dongs.
No.
Let me tell you about Lean. Brick House sale. Okay, this continues. This is great. Brick House sale continues for this week. Do doctors have Black Friday sales? Because the doctors at Brickhouse Nutrition certainly do. And they just announced their Black Friday 30% off sale. It is the biggest of the year. The most impressive health and nutrition products in the industry now 30% off, like Lean. This is the doctor-formulated weight loss supplement for people who want to lose meaningful weight without injections. This is Brickhouse's number one deal. This is their top thing because it works. And you're not putting in toxic chemicals into your body that we don't know the long-term effects of with some of these injections. So Lean is a wonderful offering from Brickhouse Nutrition, brickhousesale.com. They also have creatine, 30% off that. The creatine designed just for women to help you look leaner, stay in shape and toned without extra dieting. Also 30% off Field of Greens. It's the only super fruit and vegetable drink shown in a university study to actually slow aging, right? Brickhousesale.com, brickhousesale.com, 30% off everything. And they say jump on it because this is like how we did our merch sale where we're like, we're taking everything, we're dropping it 10%, whatever. Let's go. Let's clean off the shelves. This is exactly what they're doing. And this is the time to cash in on some really good products. brickhousesale.com. Let's see what else is going on with you guys. How you doing? Oh, okay. So now that Brock is back, I went digging through the safety deposit box and I found something really cool. I was like, I don't know what that is. I'm not recognizing this. And it's in this little box, right? This little box from Texas Bullion Exchange. It says 10 ounces, 999.9 silver cast bar. And it says Germania mint. And I was like, that feels delicious. So I open it up. Look at how beautiful. Let me make sure I don't.
It is wrapped, so don't yell at her for touching it.
It's wrapped in plastic. This is a silver bar. Look at that beautiful silver bar. Let's see if it'll focus.
Does it say happy birthday on it? No.
No, it doesn't. Isn't that lovely? Fine silver, 10 ounces. I just searched. This is somewhere in the $500 mark. This is $500, $550 of silver right now, right? So you go to Texas Bullion Exchange by going to wendylovesgold.com and you look at their products. They have coins, they have bars, they have bricks of silver, for goodness sake. They have platinum, they have palladium. They have very beautiful things, low mintage coins that are like collector's items. So you say to yourself, I want to diversify. I can't have all my money in the stock market, right? And I think I need to do some precious metals. Who do you trust? Well, I don't just represent the company. I'm a customer of theirs. So if I believe that my family should spend money with wendylovesgold.com, I certainly wouldn't tell you to if I didn't believe in it. 855-927-5557. 855-927-5557. There's something just fantabulous about holding silver. I love it. Love it. Does it say happy birthday on it?
I think
no.
Silver is going to be the buy.
Silver, I think, is, yeah. And I said to Joe, I'm like, the next time we can squirrel away a few bucks, it's all about silver. I want silver, silver, silver. I should just put this on a chain on my neck.
All these chips that they're going to need to build.
100%. 100%. It's going to become so valuable. I agree with you. I never agree with Brock. It's kind of scary. Let's see. Where are we? 2.77. Well, we got there. Now we need to get up to 3. Let's go. 3.22 at the top. 500 to go. What'd you say?
I missed one. Gotta put it in quick.
Oh, you missed one.
Still didn't break the record.
Yeah, we have 29 audio
30.
sound bites today. 30 audio sound bites today. What's the record?
32.
I'm not trying to break him, but there was just so much chitter chatter that we had to dip into.
It's not breaking. You know how fast I edit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not a big deal.
When he doesn't make mistakes. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, really 29 because we skipped one.
Did I?
I'm not saying anything.
What'd I skip?
The woman who wasn't buying it.
Oh, shuck. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, super easy if you're not on the highways commonly to not really be plugged into the whole commercial driver's license scam with illegal aliens obviously obtaining illegal licenses that are so bogus they don't even care to make up a fake name. That's how lackadaisical this has become. This is how rote, how just commonplace, how meh, doesn't really matter. The law breaking is, and the law breaking leads to people getting killed on a Florida highway when the tractor trailer to the lane to their right decided to yank a U-turn on the turnpike. They plowed right into it and all died in a fiery wreck. You know, you might not care about that until it happens to somebody you love. I care about that. I never want it to happen to anybody. So President Trump is going after this Somalian-led criminal enterprise in Minnesota. And there seem to be many grifts. But the importation of Haitians and Somalians, and you know, we're supposed to say, oh, all are welcome here. Here, come on in, melting pot. Love the diversity. Because if you don't, you're clearly racist. Well, those people are dark people. They're darker than you are. You must be a racist. No, I just don't think that all of you conglomerating in one site and all of you doing very, very well, I think it's a little suspicious. And we're right to be suspicious. So Donald Trump over the weekend announced something in an emergency order or an executive order, right? Let me pull this out. He announces an end. He put this on Truth, I think. An end to the temporary protected status program for Somalis in Minnesota. This is like an insurance policy, right? It's protecting you're protected from deportation if you're a part of this designation. And the president is like, I've seen enough of what's going on in Minnesota. Game over. And now Keith Ellison, the attorney general there, is so desperate to keep the grift alive. He's like, I don't think the president can do that. Really? Watch, because these people will hang themselves. President Trump Friday night said he was ending deportation protections for Somalis in Minnesota, quote, effective immediately. And he wrote, Minnesota, under Governor Tim Walz, is a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity. I am, as President of the United States, hereby terminating, effective immediately, the temporary protected status program for Somalis in Minnesota. Trump claimed that Somali gangs are terrorizing the people of that great state, he wrote, and billions of dollars are missing. Send them back to where they came from. It's over, President DJT. Now, see, liberals don't understand why people on the right who are Donald Trump faithful, MAGA faithful, why we celebrate this. This isn't nationalistic. This is not racist. This is nothing ist or beyond its reality. We've watched our cities crumble. We've watched the jobs, particularly for young men, be farmed out. We've watched illegals be brought in. We've watched the wages go down, the jobs go away as a generation of American men. 28% aren't even looking for work anymore. What? Minnesota has a sizable Somali population. And this temporary protected status program allows Somali nationals temporary legal status to live and to work in the United States because of the dangerous conditions of the African country. So they bring in whatever they're doing, are all of them criminals? No. Are a lot of them? Yeah. Is it demonstrable? Hell yeah, it is. How many times do you want to count the ways? Well, here's a news report. This is from Minneapolis. We're now at nearly 80 people charged in that Feeding Our Future scam, where they said they were providing all these foods to children in the Minneapolis area during COVID. And they used COVID, they bilked COVID funds, hundreds of millions of dollars, and they made up preposterous claims. We're serving 40,000 people every week. There aren't even 40,000 kids in your community. That's how absolutely ridiculously lazy these schemes are. Listen to the news.
Usman Kamara is the 77th person charged in the massive $300 million Feeding Our Future fraud case. According to the indictment, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Kamara claimed to serve more than 300,000 meals to children out of his small grocery store in North Minneapolis. Federal prosecutors say Kay's Dollar Grocery and Deli, also called Kay's African Market, had already been disqualified from participating in SNAP because of suspected fraud. Now, a grand jury indictment charges him with stealing about $1 million meant to feed hungry children.
The owner is also charged with wire fraud for allegedly using more than $200,000 of the fraud money to buy the building where his store is located.
If I own this building and I want to be here for the next 20, 30 years, nobody can kick me out. It's mine.
NPR News interviewed Kamara in 2020 after he defended his store from rioters after the murder of George Floyd. Now, since he allegedly purchased the building with fraud money, the indictment says it's subject to forfeiture, so the feds can recoup some of the funds. However, past cases have indicated that other money referenced in the indictment, including a $90,000 wire transfer to Hong Kong, alleged bribes paid to a Feeding Our Future employee, and funds spent to pay off Kamara's credit cards, is likely gone.
So the Feeding Our Future worker who Kamara allegedly paid $87,000 in bribes is charged, but that person fled to Somalia before the very first indictments came down. Of the 77 total defendants, 56 of them have been convicted so far.
Do you want to know what Americans who've watched the demise of the Rust Belt, who've watched the jobs be taken by illegal aliens who were enticed, incentivized to come to replace the American worker? Do you know what? We are so tired of people getting away with it. We are so tired of it. And yet, people we associate with, let's just talk January 6th. We watch how those people got treated for showing up at the Capitol without a single freaking weapon on them. And some got sentenced to 18 years in prison. We're tired of it. We're done. I want you to hear this other news report. Wait a minute, they said. This is where the CDL, the commercial driver's license scam, where they were so lazy, they didn't even give a name. They just put no name given as the driver's license picture name. That's how in your face corrupt these people are. Listen to this news report.
To grow. On Thursday, the Department of Justice filed a 9-count indictment against Usman Kamara, the 45-year-old now charged with wire fraud, bribery, and money laundering. Federal prosecutors say that he owned a small grocery store in North Minneapolis and claimed to be feeding 1,000 kids a day, 7 days a week during the pandemic. Kamara, who allegedly claimed more than $1 million in reimbursements, sent about $100,000 overseas, and he is just the latest to be charged. Earlier this year, Amy Bach, the executive director and founder of Feeding Our Future, was convicted of orchestrating the entire fraud scheme. Following a 6-week trial, it only took jurors 5 hours to convict Bach and her co-defendant, Salim Saeed. They were guilty on all counts, including conspiracy, wire fraud, and bribery. Now, Saeed was one of many meal site operators who collected millions in federal assistance. He falsely claimed to be serving meals to as many as 60,000 kids each day. A little perspective, that is twice the number of students enrolled in the entire Minneapolis Public School District. Of the 77 people now charged in connection with Feeding Our Future, 56 have pled guilty to their role in the scheme, and 7 others have been convicted in 2 separate trials.
So it's like everybody getting rich except you. Yeah. Yeah. We're going to make such an outrageous number. We're serving 40,000 people a day. Well, the population of the community is only 20,000. Well, we're feeding them twice. They don't even care. They are so used to getting away with it. I'm tired of it. The Attorney General of Minnesota is going to try to protect these foreigners who stole our money and sent it to an Islamic terrorist organization, Al-Shabaab, to kill Americans. It's crazy. Keith Ellison pointing out Trump's announcement of termination of Somali TPS, temporary protected status holders in Minnesota, is legally problematic. Hey, Keith, suck it. Why are you so against the American people and you're for everything that is America last? You're for the illegals. You're for murderers. You're for child rapists. You're for human trafficking. You're for narco-terrorism. You're for any kind of grift, fraud, abuse that you can get behind. Why? Because you're in on it and you're getting rich too, obviously. Did you guys catch this? This is a kick in the pants, right? This guy, his name is Brian O'Hara. He is by the way, Keith Ellison, all of the stuff he did with Derek Chauvin and those police officers, that's going to unwind. It'll unwind. All that stuff is going to come out. Mark my words. The Minneapolis police chief, Brian O'Hara, using an interpreter, is apologizing to the Somalian community in Minneapolis that he's going to have to start enforcing the law. I'm so sorry. What?
The Somali community here in Minneapolis has been welcoming and has shown love towards me, and I appreciate it. Over the last 3 years, we have been working together to try and address some of the real serious problems that we have in our community. We have to be honest at times with the problems that we're having in our community, and we need our community to help us fix those problems together because it's real and it's serious. At the same time, if people have taken anything that I have said out of context in a way that's caused harm, I apologize and I'm sorry for that because that's not my intention at all.
What a willow. We need our community to help us. No, dude, you're hired to do your job. What the hell have you been doing? How's your bank account? I don't know. I'd be curious to find out. People want to know about Marjorie Taylor Greene's. I'd like to know about that, guys. I'm really sorry. I have to start enforcing the law. Hello? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends, I bet this wasn't on your Epstein bingo card. It wasn't on mine. So Donald Trump and Attorney General Pam Bondi go to the courts and they ask for a special files, like gotta release even more stuff, asking a federal judge in Florida to release Epstein transcripts that had been sealed, saying the transparency law that was just approved by Congress that Trump signed overrides the seal. Oh my. It seems like Trump isn't at all worried about what's in those files. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll do better. I tried. Don't hurt me. Say what? There's some dirty stuff going on out there. The Simkovich Concussion Institute. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. There is one place to go. I keep thinking about all of the men and women who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, who've served all over any theater of battle and have been rocked by an IED, by a bomb, by anything, and who come back and like, and they have traumatic brain injury. And it's like you can't see it, right? It's not like you're bleeding. You're not broken, but they're badly damaged. And where do you go? I got a guy. I don't have a lot of guys, but I got a guy for that. His name is Dr. Charles Simkovich. And he's all about this intensive protocol where they don't just like see you one day and they're like, well, we'll get back to you in a couple months. It's like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to sit you down. I need you to take 3 or 4 days and a chunk of time, and I need you to fanny in our seats, and we're going to fix you. We're going to right what's wrong. We're not going to use needles. You're not going to have any blood. There is no surgery. You're not going to the hospital. You're not going to be in pain. I'm going to fix you using my fingers being in your mouth and in your soft palate, because that is the secret sauce of traumatic brain injury, this sphenoid process. And people are getting fixed. They're getting their personalities back. They're sleeping again, right? They're getting their personality. They're becoming them. 412-366-3700. Why wait? 412-366-3700. Simkovich, concussioninstitute.com. He's phenomenal. He's a healer. He's a healer. I believe 100%. This Epstein thing is hilarious. And I love that Sean Hannity doesn't even understand what this Dr. Epstein says. He's such a blowhard. Did you see the clip, Brock?
I did.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I like, so I heard over the weekend, I read that all these people outraged, I don't think you're talking about it, about them, the Department of Education saying that nursing is now not considered a professional degree or something, like the way they classify it because of student loans. And the liberals are losing their ever-loving mind. And I saw a guy explaining it. He's like, I am a nurse. He goes, it doesn't change my pay. He goes, it eliminates how much you can take out as a loan, which I agree. And I told you this morning that, these people who are spending, if 20 years ago it was $30,000 for a year at Duquesne for nursing school. And you're having all these people take out all these student loans. How is that the same as a pharmacy degree when they're going to come out and make more than a nurse?
I guess I don't understand. I don't understand
the way they classified it.
Who's changing it?
Trump did.
Oh,
The
for what
Department of
purpose?
Education.
For what purpose?
To predatory lending, because you're charging. It's going to cause the colleges to charge less because people aren't going to come get a degree.
Right.
No more $35,000 for basket weaving.
Some of these degrees.
Yeah,
I agree. The Epstein thing is such a red herring.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. So the left was convinced that President Trump somehow was involved with Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile enterprise? That he was somehow involved in some deviant sexual way with Jeffrey Epstein? And Trump has said repeatedly, look, I poached the guy from Mar-a-Lago because he was poaching girls from my spa. Among them, Virginia Giuffre. Jeffrey Epstein was coming into Mar-a-Lago, and he was basically meeting young women, doing massages or what have you. And he was trying to take them and promise them the world. And Donald Trump caught wind of that, and he spoke with Virginia Giuffre, who said that he was never involved, that he was always nice, he was never untoward, right? And Donald Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his club and didn't really have anything to do with him again. Okay. So that nothing burger, they put his feet to the fire. Release the files, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Release the files, Thomas Massey. Ah! And so Trump's like, go ahead. Go ahead. You're falling for a diversion. And I know Massey wants to sing Trump, but he's like, all right, let's go. So what did he do on Friday? President Trump and Pam Bondi, they just asked a federal court in Florida to release Epstein transcripts that are currently sealed. The filing comes barely 2 days after Trump signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act. And the DOJ is now arguing the new law overrides a law that allowed those documents to be remained sealed. Now, if Trump had something to hide, You wouldn't imagine he would go to his top law enforcer and say, you know what? We need to release all of this information. He'd want it under wraps. Well, that wasn't on their bingo card. But you know what? Transparency terrifies those who build their power on secrecy, right? If Epstein's files are finally opened, it's not just going to expose a predator. It's going to expose an entire network that operated above the law for decades. Politicians and billionaires and philanthropists and lobbyists and media darlings, actors, all of them hiding behind sealed documents while preaching morality to the public. This is why they are panicking, because once sunlight hits that list, America will finally see how deep the rot goes. That is what we presume happens in a world where there is such a thing as justice. Now, remember the Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who Jasmine Crockett wrongly said was the other Jeffrey Epstein, and said he had given money to EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin? Well, apparently Sean Hannity had the Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who was the one who was giving money to Democrats and Republicans alike, on his show. This guy's a neurologist with the same name as the prolific pedophile. And this is what he had to say.
I was very happy with my name. I've had it longer than he has. Obviously, I'm still here and he's not. But to be implicated, or even the insinuation that I am the pedophile, it was really pretty awful what she did. And she clearly, when she did her word scramble backpedaling on CNN the other night, those were just blatant lies. It's ridiculous.
Jasmine Crockett came out last week. Lee Zeldin got money from Jeffrey Epstein. And then, who is it? Caitlin Collins on CNN presses her on it. She's like, Jeffrey Epstein, and Jasmine Crockett realizing that she didn't do her homework, because why would anybody on the left feel like they need to prepare for anything? They get away with everything, right? And she said, well, I said a Jeffrey Epstein. And she just looked like a total fool. And now what do we understand? She's seriously considering running for Senate, because it's likely that her Texas House seat will be gerrymandered away from her. So she's thinking about failing upwards to the Senate. It's like Eric Swalwell failing upwards into the governorship of California. So this Jeffrey Epstein doctor guy says something very interesting that Sean Hannity is too much of a blowhard to have heard. Listen.
Clearly, she implied that Lee Zeldin, amongst others, had taken money from the pedophile. But let the record show that if you look in the filings, you also see that Jasmine Crockett took money from Jeffrey Epstein.
This doctor gave money to Jasmine Crockett, and flippin' Sean Hannity doesn't get it. He's so interested in tooting his own horn, or what he's about to say next. He doesn't understand that what this guy just said is so full circle slap in your face, Jasmine low IQ Crockett. You tried to say that Jeffrey Epstein, the pedophile, was the one who contributed to Lee Zeldin, when in reality, Jeffrey Epstein, the doctor neurologist, did, and he gave to you, you mindless twit. This is the crazy train. Meantime, there's a bunch of Somalians apparently stealing billions of our money. And there's a commercial driver's license scam that, until it's completely figured out, puts every single one of us and everyone we love on the highways in danger. But Jasmine Crockett, low IQ that she is, gets caught being a blowhard too. When we come back, hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program. Is it an act of desperation or an act of sedition? Fallout from those Congress people and senators saying that the active military should disobey Donald Trump. What? Walking it back next.
Can I go back to the college thing one more time? I just think that people losing their mind over this kind of stuff, it's just a way for Donald Trump to dismantle the college farce even more and to not put kids into debt. I was one of them. $100-some thousand worth of debt out of college. You know, a journalism degree, if journalism even exists anymore, you're not going to come out being able to afford to pay the loans back. So getting the government out of education, not just the day-to-day operations of education, but the loaning of money to these, it is predatory. You should not give an 18-year-old who doesn't have a job $30,000, that was years ago, to get a degree for a job that won't even cover 1 year's salary. So it's just, I'm all for it. You can go, the difference between a BSN and an RN degree, the reason you can go get an RN degree from a community college or a hospital is 18 months is because the other time for a BSN, which is what I went for, you have the Englishes, you have the crap you're not going to need, and quit charging people for your stuff you're not going to need. I applaud Trump for doing it and making college more affordable for people. I digress.
No, you caught on to something that I was not paying attention to over the weekend. So let me
it just
and it strikes a nerve with you because of student loans and nursing. So it makes sense.
You get the government out of funding it, and then you tell, well, this is all you can have. You want to go get a journalism degree that's going to pay you out of school $25,000-$30,000 a year. We're not going to loan you $40,000 for this degree. We'll loan you 17, and now colleges are going to be like, we've become so unaffordable. People aren't going to cover, because now you're going to have to go get a personal loan. That's completely different than a student loan. You know, I think it's Donald Trump, and I don't think people pay attention to how he's making this country more affordable right now for the younger generation. You want them getting a house? Don't saddle them with student loans. You might not be able to control the whole housing the housing, I think it's a crisis, affordability crisis. But
you want to know,
not saddling them with debt is one way to do it. Just one way. Start a family. You don't have $1,000 loan payments every month for a degree.
More Gains Fitness, guys, befores and afters. That's after 90 days. That's nuts. Look at this. Look at that. Look at that. She got a cute little bum. More Gains Fitness. If you live in Somerset or Cambria counties and you haven't checked out More Gains Fitness and you haven't gotten a membership at a gym where you feel at home because people are like family and they're there to help you. Like if you don't know how to lift weights, you don't know how to do stuff, you don't know the machines, you don't know any of it, but you know you want to do something. The weather's about to get crappy. It's an easy thing to do inside. Not easy, but it's a great activity that's good for you. You feel good after you do it. You just got to break the ice and get through. This is your place. More Gains Fitness, MORGAINZ. And by the way, 90 days, you give her 90 days, she'll give you your body back. The stories have been insane. I mean, this is a guy after 8 months, but look at what he had to lose. Look at that. He's got biceps. Look at that. That's nutty. That's nutty. That's More Gains Fitness, MORGAINZ fitness.com. And she was in another freaking competition. It's ridiculous. Hate her. I want her legs. Is that so wrong? It shouldn't be.
Someone put on here, Duquesne is over $48,000 a year. To live on campus, over $70,000.
Oh, no way.
Off campus, $81,000 a year. Holy.
No, that's when you say to your children, no, you're going to be an electrician. You're going to be a bricklayer. You're going to be a plumber, and y'all are going to open up a business together. And you're going to kill it.
Yeah.
Because the people on your street freaking need help. And you work hard and you be honest, and you will be enriched, and your business grows and you invest into it. And then it goes bigger and bigger and bigger. Kind of like this. I'm so for trade schools, 100%, 100%. And some of these degrees are just stupid. Stupid. Like, do I really think Michael needed to go to college to do what he ultimately needs to do? I don't think so. No. Jack?
Maybe not.
Jack is about contacts.
Yes.
Maybe not. Ryan wants to be an orthodontist.
Absolutely.
You gotta go. Chris wants to be an electrical engineer. Whatever that means. Psycho. I know nothing about that. So I'm going to be like, yeah, you probably need to go to school. Bobby wants to do business. I'm probably going to go, yeah, you probably need to go to school.
But you know what? Electrical engineering is, I don't mean to demean it.
Not,
but if you're going to be an electrician, to be an apprentice, you're essentially going to school just in the field. It's colleges for a nursing degree. If I knew better and I didn't, and I had parents that said, no, you're going to go to college and better yourself, I didn't need to go to a university for it.
Yeah. The shtick is over, I think.
My parents did what they thought was best, and God bless them. But
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family. She once hosted a 3-hour show in just 15 minutes. She once intimidated the Electoral College to audit itself. Her monologues are so sharp, they're considered a concealed carry weapon. Fact-checker sites routinely issue her a retraction a week in advance. Even her commercial breaks trend on social media. Her freedom of speech has diplomatic immunity. She doesn't just drain the swamp has to ask for cab fare. Wendy Bell is the most interesting conservative woman on radio. Keep rumbling, my friends. 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. And if this is the first time you've heard my voice, I want to welcome you to what I believe is common sense conservatism. You know, what I say here, I don't think is terribly controversial. I don't think it's rocket science. It is that very elusive common sense that seems to just elude so many people, it seems, in this country. The majority of them live in Washington. The disconnect between the Beltway and the rest of us is truly astonishing. And so the fallout over this ridiculous video that these 6 congressmen, senators, whatever, former military members did, basically encouraging people in the military right now, active duty, to subvert direct orders by their chain of command, whether it be by the commander-in-chief, President Trump, or his Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, or others in the chain of command. And we heard Anonymous in the deepfake quotes X account say basically go through the statute, what that legal code is, the military code is, that encouraging people in the military to disobey, it's not a slap on the wrist punishment. It's sedition. And I want you to hear the ad. We have not played it here. So if you're kind of in the dark, you've heard people chitter-chattering about it, but you're not totally up to speed. Let's get you caught up. It's not a big ask here. It's like a minute. But here you have Mark Kelly. You have Alyssa Slotkin. You have a bunch of people, former military, who are now in Congress, who are joining together, putting together a PSA, a public service announcement, literally suggesting mutiny. Here's the ad.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly. Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy. Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals
Against American citizens.
like us. You all swore an oath.
To protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law.
Or our Constitution.
We know this is hard.
And that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
The Army, our Navy,
The Air Force.
Your vigilance is critical.
and know that we have your back.
because now, more than ever,
The American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution, and
That's just gross. It's okay to disobey what you believe is not right. They say illegal, but come on, it's all about feelings, isn't it? I don't feel like I want to do that, so I'm not going to. If you don't have structure in the military, you don't have protection as a country. Then you lead on that slippery slope to chaos and anarchy. Trump put out a blistering truth about it, and this is what he said. And this is what everybody's all gotten their boxers in a bunch over. The traitors that told the military to disobey my orders should be in jail right now, not roaming the fake news networks trying to explain that what they said was okay. It wasn't and never will be. It was sedition at the highest level, and sedition is a major crime. There can be no other interpretation of what they said. Now, here's what's interesting. This crybaby, progressive, whack job Democrat Party, which is so different in the last even 10 years, let alone the last 50, believes that if you don't agree with the party in power, just no, I'm not, no. Fight back, refuse, deny, encourage other people in your ranks to join with you, is so beyond egregious, considering this was the same group of people who demanded fealty to the COVID vaccine mandate of the military. 8,400 service members were fired, basically, let go. Bye-bye, no longer part of it. See you later, lost their jobs, lost their rank, lost their pension, because they said, you know what, I'm not comfortable putting an experimental gene scrambler into my body. And you know what, I'd like to know what's in it. Can you tell me what's in it? No. Get out. But now they're encouraging disobedience in the military, which is so beyond dangerous. Donald Trump says, you know what? The penalty, hanging, 20 years in jail, in prison, in whatever, or hanging, off with their heads. You got to make a spectacle and a standard of somebody. We ought to start at least here, holding 6 members of Congress responsible for absolutely disobeying their oath. Now, this is very interesting. Here we go from Alyssa Slotkin, former CIA, is on with Martha Raddatz, wherever she's from, ABC or whatever, and she's asking the former CIA agent, you put out a public service announcement encouraging the military to disobey orders that they believe are illegal. Have you heard of any that have been illegal thus far that would necessitate this kind of a public service announcement? Ma'am, listen to the response.
So let's talk right now. Do you believe President Trump has issued any illegal orders?
To my knowledge, I am not aware of things that are illegal, but certainly there are some legal gymnastics that are going on with these Caribbean strikes and everything related to Venezuela.
Oh, so you'd rather protect the illegal drug runners, the narco terrorists responsible for ferrying into this country tons of coke, meth, fentanyl, name it. You see any of these Coast Guard busts, these interdictions at sea, where it's like this plastic wrapped monstrosity of drugs? And Alyssa Slotkin is more worried about those narco terrorists being able to get their product to shore so that they can kill your children than she is about protecting our laws. Interesting. Rand Paul jumps in. I think we've all had enough of Rand Paul. I wish he would go back to ophthalmology because he clearly isn't seeing this very well. This is what he says, calling Trump reckless for saying that the punishment could be death. Listen.
You know, everybody knows that the president is famous for his unfiltered social media. But if you take at face value the idea that calling your opponents traitors and then specifically saying that it warrants the death penalty is reckless, inappropriate, irresponsible. There are a number of other ways to describe it, but it's not something that is helping the country heal wounds. I think it stirs things up, and really, I think we can do better.
Right on. Okay, Rand, put a sock in it. This is the law President Trump is talking about, 18 U.S. Code 2387. The statute makes it a federal crime to do any of the following with the intent to interfere with U.S. military operations: advise, urge, or attempt to cause insubordination, disloyalty, mutiny, or refusal of duty among members of the U.S. military. I'm not so sure you need to go any further. Senator, here's Byron Donalds running for governor of Florida, congressman. And he's like, look, these 6 Democrats pretending Donald Trump is doing anything that should be disobeyed is a total joke. They're a joke, and this blew up in their faces.
So now they're going to feign outrage because Donald Trump responded to their words that do yield to insurrection? Please.
But the president has been...
Stop. No. And this is where I'm going to push back. Because what they are doing is trying to throw literally a grenade into the room. It goes off. And then they're going to claim outrage? They have no moral standing to claim outrage. Because they decided that they were going to be cute and put out a TikTok video trying to get likes, trying to demonstrate that they're tough enough to stand up to President Trump, when Donald Trump is the commander-in-chief. Not Mr. Crow, not Senator Slotkin. They are not the commander-in-chief. And like I said before, they would not tolerate any Republican launching any video like that when Barack Obama was president of the United States. You know it's true. I know it's true. Everybody knows it's true. But now they want to feign outrage and have everybody come and ask them how they feel. Man, stop. We're tired of the games and the charade. The American people are looking for real answers on energy, on immigration, on affordability, but they want to be cute. So yeah, I'm not going to give them any standing about, well, how do they feel? That's BS. They knew what they were doing. They created a political stunt to get a response, and they didn't like the response.
Why is there never any accountability? Democrats put America last, and they always get away with it. When we come back, Trump knows this. The squeeze on the SNAP benefits. Wait until you hear how ticked off people are by these new rules that require, that you actually try to pretend to improve your lot in life before sponging off of the goodness of the American people for your entire lifetime. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. It's almost like it pisses me off. God, I love you. So Ireland contracting, they're coming out in spring. He got backed up. He's got a big project, and he had to text me over the weekend, and I think he could hear my, I'm like, fine.
You gave him the fine.
I gave him the F word, fine. And he's like, I'll try to squeeze you in, but it might be too cold in Jan. I'm like, you don't have to try to squeeze me in. Like, whatever. I know you don't care about me. I'm just kidding. So he'll come out some other time, but we'll get it done. Ireland contracting, though, this is not the time to put off getting a new roof. It's not a good time to put off getting new windows, especially not if you know you need them. I'll tell you what, when you know you need them, you need them. And that's the time. You got to get in touch with Ireland Contracting. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com, Southwestern Pennsylvania's home exterior remodeling experts. So if you need new siding, maybe you need a little refresher, you need a new roof, you need whole house new windows, maybe you like to put in a bay window. Maybe you've got something outside that needs some electrical work like I do. Don't talk to Dan for a little bit because he's busy apparently.
You got to get to Wendy first.
He's got to get to me first. Don't you dare clog that phone line. But then all the non-sexy stuff that matters, the most important thing I think is your freaking gutters and your downspouts. Those things don't work. I'm sorry, but your house is going to flood. I have some experience with that. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, Ireland Contracting. I'm super excited about the last segment. And I really like this guy. Who knows? I don't know if I don't know what his following is on
Over 100.
100,000. That's awesome. Good for him. A lot better than I'm doing on X.
Wendy Bell PGH.
That's it. What am I doing here?
I could be low on my thing too. That I sent you.
What do you mean?
You texted me and I texted you back.
No, they offered me the lower number if I ever do that. And I was like, It's not an incentive.
No.
So I really like this guy. I want to see where else we can find him.
I think he has a website.
Here we go.
This was a late ad, so it is not in the rundown on
Yeah.
the locals page. I thought he was fascinating. Beowulf says, I follow Wendy on X, but I never see posts from her. Which is crazy because all of a sudden I get alerts saying Wendy Bell posted something. I'm like, okay.
Let's see. Let's see when the last time Toolsy hooked me up there was. See, we're big on Instagram. A trick question because I think you'll all agree with what I say. Don't you agree that for people in our country to receive assistance, if they need help feeding their families, feeding themselves, if they're really down on their luck, things are difficult, that there should be a window of opportunity for them to be able to get their stuff together and to get the food and the help that they need. I do. I don't think it should be a lifetime. I don't think it should be 5 years. I don't think it should be more than a year. I think it takes maybe a couple months to figure out what you're doing. There are a lot of jobs out there. There's opportunity out there. I think we have created a very grifty, grafty society where we've given birth to a whole new wave of freeloaders, right? And I'm not just talking about the illegal aliens. I will say this, particularly people I've worked with from Mexico, some of the hardest working people you'll ever be beside in your life. It's not a blanket statement, but you should not be able to just sit at home, smoke pot, play video games, and contribute nothing to society. All the while, we pay for you to be able to do it. Finally, we have a president who's like, enough is enough. And so they pulled the plug on this, which I think is phenomenal. I want you to hear USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins She's talking about the data on the abuse of these supplemental nutrition food stamp benefits, right? We got 50 states. We got 29 states that have agreed to help out and give their data. You got 21, I might have the numbers backwards, that are blue states that are not providing information to the Department of Agriculture about how many people are getting SNAP benefits in their state, for how long they've been getting. Why ever would that be, I wonder? Here is Secretary Rollins.
I think what's really important, and you mentioned it, that we have been, for the first time in history, collecting the data. We asked all the states to send data in. We had 29 states comply, most of them the red states. And what we found was staggering. And this was before the government shut down. This is over the last few months. 186,000 dead people receiving benefits, 500,000 Americans receiving benefits 2 times, so double what they should be receiving. We've arrested more than 120 people with SNAP fraud, and that's just from the states that sent their data in. That doesn't include most of the blue states, where we believe there's even more fraud and abuse. And under the last administration, the SNAP benefits increased 40%. So clearly there's a right sizing that needs to happen. And the, I think, unintended consequence of the Democrat shutdown was now the spotlight has been shined on, and we have to make sure, for those who really need this benefit, that we are able to make sure that it's going to the right people. So we're making a lot of structural changes in SNAP. We'll have a big announcement about that the week after Thanksgiving, exactly what that's going to look like.
Well, we can tell you what we know. We know there's going to be new work and age requirements for SNAP recipients. We know that refugees and asylum seekers no longer are eligible. You got to prove that you're actually trying to work or volunteer or do one of something, and you only need to prove 80 hours a month. When was the last time you guys only worked 20 hours a week? Is that recent for you? Because it hasn't been for me. Here's a California TV station covering the changes, which will certainly affect an awful lot of people living in that sanctuary state.
According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, people that will not be eligible for SNAP benefits include refugees and people that were granted asylum. SNAP participants will also be required to work, volunteer, or participate in job training for at least 80 hours a month.
Yeah, what's interesting here is like, what? I have to go prove I'm doing one of something? That's outrageous, preposterous. So we thought, I wonder if the SNAP stuff, if it's all connected, I wonder if it's going on in Minnesota. You know, they had these Somalian things, the Feeding Our Future grift. They have a Medicaid grift. They have a personal care home grift. Well, it's so curious because if I'm looking here, the difference between fiscal year 2019 and fiscal year 2020, the percent change in recipients, I beg your pardon, from 2020 to 2021. So from COVID on to 2021. The change in SNAP recipients in Minnesota in 1 year, it went up 173%. That's so weird. It's almost like we're bringing in all these people from other countries and we're giving them all sorts of free stuff. Why ever would that be? I couldn't possibly imagine. And then you've got this story from Just the News. I can't get into it. Why are blue states pushing back on the exclusion of non-citizens from SNAP? Because they're not from here. America last. Democrats, always America last. Ask yourself why. Now, do not go anywhere because I love this young man. His presentation about why so many people are Trump faithful. Progressives don't understand it. They think we're in the cult. Oh boy, it's next. So interesting that Rob Bonta in California and Keith Ellison in Minnesota and all of these blue attorneys general are coming forward and they're like, well, I don't know if we like these new requirements. And it's like, well, I'm pretty sure that you're in on the grift, dirtbags. I think we need some lipstick. How about you guys? All right. Do we have woeful numbers here? Because I'm feeling woeful. 317 is pretty woeful. Come on, don't you think we can get to at least 3.5? I mean, it's 300 more people. It's a lot. I know that. And I don't take that lightly. But 7,200 of you watching. And so somebody out there knows how to click that button, right? It's a little thumbs up button underneath me. Click it if you would be so kind. And we're marching ever closer to 100,000. You guys helped us shoot. Before Friday, we got to 75,000 followers on Rumble, which is so huge. You guys are like the ultimate grassroots experiment that has turned out to be a very enjoyable experience. So thank you. Anywho, well, Wendy, don't be upset. Last time I looked, you were ahead of Bannon. I was ahead of Bannon. What? I don't know. Lindsey Graham is a Liberty score 43. Yeah, he's terrible. Lindsey Graham is pissed that he's not able, that they're taking out of the clean CR what Thune stuffed in there, allowing those 8 senators to sue for being wiretapped and having their rights trampled. And Lindsey Graham's ticked. He's like, no, I want to absolutely sue. Hell yeah, I want to get rich. Everybody wants to cash in, guys. It's all a payday. I want to know what's happening with the Bidens. I want to know what happened to that gravy train. Because I don't think Hunter's painting anymore. Didn't he lose his bungalow?
I think so.
Wasn't he a victim of the Palisades fire? Oh, no. It means he lost a lot of that artwork. It's terrible. I'm trying to browbeat them to get us to at least 3.5. I figure 3.5 is reasonable. Got 200.
Some people are saying they're having a hard time rumbling. It's not letting them, so there's really nothing I can do about it.
Did I hit everybody? No. Body by aim360.com. Okay, so this is one of those numbers to jot down. This is one of those things to put when you're ready. You'll know you're ready, but I will tell you, I don't know why you would wait. If you feel terrible, and I'm not even worried about your weight, you feel terrible, your joints hurt, your gut is inflamed, you don't sleep well, you just feel like there's a film on yourself, you're just not you. You have no idea what could be going on in your blood. And the blood test that Dr. Dubiak allows for is phenomenal. And this whole weight loss program that he then uses your blood work to teach you about the foods that you should be eating, the foods you should be avoiding, and then can also hook you up with a series of IVs that are made specifically to address your deficiencies in your blood. For instance, vitamin B, for me, 12-3, whatever it is, I don't make it. I don't have it. It's non-existent. I could go to Dr. Dubiak, and knowing that, they would make me an IV that would replenish me, go directly into my bloodstream, not have to bypass my gut, where it would not have to go into my gut, where a lot of people have a hard time processing stuff. It goes right into your system. It's brilliant. Brilliant, which is why he has so many wonderful patients who've lost 30, 50, 100, 150 pounds. I mean, it's crazy. He had a couple guys in there that had lost over 120 pounds. I was like, what? Once you do that, you have the skills for life. Skills for life. It's not like being on Weight Watchers where you have to go check in every week, right? You get the skills. You learn it. And then for the rest of your life, you use those skills to, when you fall off the wagon, get back in control, right? We shouldn't be consumed by it. You can be armed, and that's bodybyAim360.com. 412-227-9255. 412-227-9255. If you feel like nothing helps you, nothing works for you, but you call, talk to them. They're great. They're great.
Ray Carr said, I just taught my house guest everything about Wendy Bell. She was impressed. I think we might have another follower. What do you think? Have them walk them through setting up an account and how to follow and how to rumble. It's
wow.
Full service here. If they're a house guest, full service.
I'm delighted if you have a house guest that they're not offended by me being fussy. It is the way it goes. Is it freezing over there?
It's chilly.
A little chilly. I'm feeling it too. I'm going to have to go to full, like, sweaters and such. So I'm filling again on Newsmax tonight at 5. We'll see how that goes. Whatever. They say, can you? And I'm like, yes. In this young man. His name is Walter Kurt. He's the host of Political Theater. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. And I probably shouldn't elevate some young guy who's got more X followers than I do, but I gotta say he is pretty phenomenal in how he's able to diagnose why MAGA exists, what gave birth to MAGA, which opened the door to Donald Trump. And he speaks specifically to progressives. And I want you to hear as much of this young man as you can because it is so dang correct. He's speaking specifically about this fallout from these 6 members of Congress who encouraged the military to basically disobey President Trump. And he's talking about how MAGA 100% gets behind Donald Trump, who says sedition, hang him up. This has got to be traitorous, treasonous. You can't let this go. That is the jumping off lily pad for this gentleman, Walter Kurt. Again, his podcast is called Political Theater, and he does something that's pretty remarkable. He's responding to what President Trump said. It's called seditious behavior at the highest level. Trump said in a Truth Social post, each one of these traitors, these congressmen and women, to our country should be arrested and put on trial. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. We won't have a country anymore. An example must be set. And MAGA agrees. Here is podcaster Walter Kurt explaining to the progressives, it's not a cult. This is created by 30 years of failed promises in this country.
The class in this country absolutely refuses to understand something. And in the panic you're seeing, especially from the Democrats and the media over Trump reposting or retruthing the story about the treason and sedition and what the penalty should be. And it's because there's a large percentage of people in D.C. and the left and the political class that genuinely don't understand why millions of Americans wouldn't actually recoil from that story at all, why they wouldn't back off of it, why they wouldn't say it resonates. And it's because they think that Trump's supporters, at the end of the day, they think that his supporters are bloodthirsty, dumb, or, cultish, or whatever it is the insult of the day is. But the truth is that they're terrified to realize something, and it's that they're missing the reason that the anger exists in the first place. Because before you judge the reaction, you better understand the cause. And the cause goes back decades, really. The cause goes back. It's the same thing that actually put Trump in office in 2016. It's the cause that put same thing that made his base the most loyal political force in modern American history, really. So I need to go through this and make sure it's clear for everybody tonight. Trump's base in this country really is the white working class. Okay, that's the white working men of the Midwest, the factory workers, the machine operators, welders, truckers. Those are the people that, the people that built this country, built America, and then have watched America get sold out from underneath them. And that's what people in Washington can't seem to wrap their heads around. They don't understand that Trump didn't create the anger that exists. That anger that exists created Trump. It's actually the opposite way around. And for 30 years, this country watched its industrial heartland completely bleed out. And I mean, not metaphorically, literally bleed out. And I've actually got some numbers for that.
And he's about to drop them on you. He says, look, listen to how many jobs America has lost just in the last quarter century. He says, listen to the ripple effect that damages the entire ecosystem of jobs and prosperity.
So the people that don't understand this isn't just a feeling, okay? So from 1990 to 2019, the Midwest alone lost about 1.1 million manufacturing jobs. That's a 21% collapse. And nationally, the number is even more staggering. 5 million manufacturing jobs were gone between 2000 and 2010 alone. And there's something that people never pay attention to and they never realize when they talk about politics and talk about these loss of jobs. It's when a factory goes away, it's not just the manufacturing jobs that disappear with it. Factories aren't just buildings. They're entire ecosystems. Satellite shops, machine repair companies, part suppliers, logistic companies, mom and pop stores and diners, all of that stuff dies when the factory goes under. So an entire way of life gets wiped out when this happens. And the reality is that nobody in Washington cared. There was no white papers about it. There was nobody showing up with emergency funding, nobody calling it a crisis, because it wasn't happening in Georgetown. It wasn't happening in Manhattan. It was happening in Youngstown, Ohio. It was happening in Flint, Michigan, and Beloit, and Springfield, Ohio, the town that I live in. Places that most of the people in elites and the Washington, D.C. types don't even know where it is on a map.
He talks about Springfield, Ohio, his own personal experience moving to that community and watching it suffer.
So I'm going to give you an example, one example of this from where I live, Springfield, Ohio. When I first moved to Springfield, Ohio in 2011, there was a building downtown that I was fascinated by. It was very interesting to see when I first showed up because you can see it from the main road that runs through the center of the city. And on the side of this building, it said, "Catch the Springfield spirit" in giant white letters, and they were faded out, but you could still make it out. You could still make the sign out. The sign's gone today. It's faded away at this point. But when I first saw that for the first time, I was fascinated by it. I said, what was this place like when that was painted? What was this town like when that was when it was in its heyday? And the town clearly used to have money. For God's sake, there's a Frank Lloyd Wright house here in this town of all places. So it used to have big money. There's a whole street that's called Millionaire Row. But by the time I moved here, the city was dead. In fact, it was rated the most depressed city in America in 2015. Now, why is that? Well, back in the day, the International Harvester trucking plant that existed here employed more than 30,000 people. 30,000. And the town of this population, by the way, is now 60,000. So half of the city used to work in that one single plant. There was a bunch of other ones. That same plant today has 1,500. Okay? And it's far from the unique. Flint, Michigan had 80,000 workers in the 1970s. Now it has less than 10,000. So, what happens when you take all those jobs out of cities? What do you think happens? Crime goes up, poverty explodes, people flee, businesses close, and then the drugs come in. And there's data on that too. In the rural Midwest, opioid deaths became 16 times higher in 2016 than they were since 1999. Entire towns and real communities got wiped out in a crisis that nobody in Washington even bothered to talk about until it hit suburban white kids almost 20 years later. So imagine being somebody from one of these towns, okay? Your dad worked in the mill, your brother worked in the factory, your uncles worked in the union jobs that could support a house, a family, dignity. And then one day, all of that's gone. Okay, and who did that? The politicians who signed the trade deals, the corporations who offshored the jobs, the regulators who strangled all the small business. None of those people were ever discussed. Nothing was ever punished. There was the comeback from that. Not a single person went to prison for hollowing out the American middle class and destroying an entire region of the country. The Midwest used to be one of the wealthiest places in the entire country, and now it is one of the poorest. So when Trump came along in 2016 and actually had a message for these people, he said, these people sold you out. They betrayed you. They shipped your jobs to China, and they got rich while you got poor, and I'm going to fight for you. That was the first time in 30 years, that somebody in the national politics even acknowledged what was going on out in the Midwest, let alone saying he'd fight for them.
100%. And that explains much of the loyalty to Trump and much of MAGA's pushback against immigration of all kinds. DC is totally clueless that you and I feel this way.
So that is why people are loyal to Trump. It is not that they're cultists. It's not that they're stupid. It's not because it's because this was the first guy in their lifetime that gave a damn. And even worse, after Trump was elected in the first time, this is another example from where I live, okay? The city, Springfield, started to recover. I saw it. There was factories opening up. There was new places being built. And by the end of his first term, there was 5 or 6 new plants with new jobs coming into this city. Wages were going up. The labor market was tight. Everyone was hiring. And then what happened? Joe Biden happened. 2020 happened. In the totally honest, free, and fair election of 2020, you know what happened to all those factory jobs that were built underneath Trump, the new ones, the brand new ones that were built underneath Trump 1.0? They shipped in 30,000 Haitians, immigrants, and staffed all of those factories. That's what happened. So the Americans never got to see the payoff from bringing back manufacturing. They gave those jobs to foreigners, and people were furious. People were furious in this area. They're more angry now than I've ever seen. So the Haitian population exploded in our city. The healthcare system got completely wiped out, and the cultural impact has just been absolutely off the chart. I mean, people are now more furious now than I've ever seen since I moved here. And Washington has absolutely no idea that it's happening. They've got no clue.
The Beltway bubble. And he says, look, in conclusion, for this and so many other reasons, we've watched the demise of the heartland. This is why people support President Trump.
So when you see the Democrats panicking because Trump retruthed somebody saying that treason should be punished harshly, they think the outrage is about the words, but the outrage is not about the words. It's about the principle. It's because they've lived through 3 decades of political elites committing the real crime, destroying their communities, and never facing any consequences whatsoever for it. So you want to understand why Trump's base is willing to say, hang them. It's because in their eyes, the political class already hung them. They hung the Midwest out to dry. They hung entire communities on the altar of globalism. They hung the American working class for the sake of cheap labor, cheap goods, and corporate profits. That's what happened. And then when those people got screwed, finally spoke up, the media then called them extremists, called them racists. And as a result of that, they're furious. So why do you think people are mad? So let me tell you something. When one side plays by the rules and the other side cheats, and then the cheaters are never punished, people stop believing in the system. They stop believing accountability exists. They stop believing in the system at all. They stop believing justice is real. And they start looking for a man, any man, who is willing to walk into a room, flip the table, and say, enough, it ends. It ends now. And that's why Trump's base is so loyal.
I wanted to play that on the off chance that there is a Democrat or a progressive or a socialist, communist, Marxist person out there who believes in those systems versus what President Trump and we are all about. We are not in a cult. We love America. We believe in making America great again, not for our side, not for just our kids, not for our street, but for you as well. We fight every day for you, and you don't get it. You don't see what's at stake. You don't see what's already been lost. We do. And it has to stop. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, President Trump has a new bone he is chewing on. It is very specific. He has lit up his Truth Social, and the Democrats want nothing to do with this. I wonder why. Tell you what it is next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Wasn't he great? He was great. Now I'm reading about him. Apparently his father is, I don't know. There's some articles on him. I'm like, I don't really care about his family. I liked what he said. Let's see what people were saying about that. Walter Kurt Jr., the man who first published allegations that employees of Fairfax County Public Schools assisted students in getting abortions without their parents' knowledge, has familial ties to Governor Glenn Youngkin, Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl-Sears, and Attorney General Jason Biares. Okay. What? Okay, yeah. It seems like he'd be a Republican. Whatever. I was just trying to do a dive on him, and this thing popped up. It's like, huh. Walter E. Kurt. I think he did a great job.
Yeah.
Really did think he did a good job. And he deserved to be amplified. That's how I feel. Like, literally. If and I don't like him, I don't like Sean Hannity for all. I think he's just terrible. Such a blowhard. But like, if he makes a good point or he says something or does something that I think is worthwhile, we've got to talk about it. Right? I mean, that's what this whole thing is. And the whole idea of watching your community die. We've watched that going to Cedar Point, Ohio on family vacation for the last, 10 years? Driving by the GM plant in Lordstown. Place was jumping.
Look at some of the communities around Pittsburgh.
It was a freaking metropolis. I mean, the place, this factory, this plant was crazy. They were building the Chevy Cruze there, I think. And then all of it went belly up and the plant shut down and all of the jobs that were there left and the diners closed and the barber shops closed and the school fell into disrepair.
There goes your tax base.
There goes everything. There goes everything. It's like what they did to the steel plants, like the whole steel industry.
Mm-hmm.
You watch a community absolutely fall apart. Like Wilkinsburg used to be a magnificent community. And then poof went the mills. And your tax base leaves, the drugs move in. And then if you're one of the people left behind, you can't get rid of your place because nobody's willing to buy it. Your schools suck. Taxes are high. It's not safe. This isn't complicated. I guess it is if you live in the Beltway bubble, right? I'm pretty much sure I hate everybody. Not you guys. Most of you, at least. Just kidding. We need 110 people to hit 3-5. Can somebody please help a sister out? I think you should. I think you should say, God, I love that girl. She's fabulous. I know. I am.
You're whispering. It's creepy.
Taking on every complex there is, every corporate fraud complex, every scam organization, every grift, every graft, all of it. This invitation to the world, and he's been absolutely right. We're not getting the best and the brightest. We didn't get the Rhodes Scholars of the world in the 4 years that Joe Biden was allegedly president. We got the dregs. We got criminals. We got bad people. Not everyone is bad. I'm not going to litigate that with you. You know darn well the truth. And this president is somehow supposed to have the magic wand to clean it all up, where there's a Democrat or some rhino hack like Rand Paul in the wings to thwart any kind of progress, gum them up in the courts. Cue the group indivisible. So the crybaby, the white college educated liberal chicks and the baby boomers who bus in or what have you, live out in the suburbs, but are all about the inner cities falling to pot, right? Like Donald Trump is like the guy, and he's everybody's scapegoat because he's the only one. And we know it. His new initiative, it's not really new, but he's hitting it hard, and I think he should. And he put this out on Truth Social. He said, we must pass, this is from Senator Mike Lee. He wrote, we must pass the SAVE Act. We have to pass it now, the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, To protect our elections from foreign interference and fraud, tell your senators and your representatives if you agree. And if, by the way, you can't get people in the Senate to pass what the House has already passed and did in April, mandating proof of citizenship and voter identification, for which 84% of this country has strong support. This isn't a wishy-washy issue. It's an 84, 18, 16. That's my rudimentary math skills working on my behalf, right? This is what we voted for. Pass this. What's going on in the Senate? What are you doing, Thune? Well, we can't get enough people to support it with us. What does the SAVE Act do? Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. It requires states to remove non-citizens from voter rolls. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Well, it's wrong if you want to cheat, if you know you need to cheat, because you don't have platforms, you don't have people, you don't have policies, you don't have ideas, because you hate America. What else does it do? It requires states to verify U.S. citizenship in order to register to vote. Well, why wouldn't blue states be for that? Same answer as question number one. And it allows citizens to file lawsuits against officials who register non-citizens to vote. I know you did it. I'm going to sue you into oblivion. Absolutely. Why would anybody be against only Americans voting in America's elections? By the way, just for a little review, I found this. Presidential election ballots counted after Election Day. Apparently, it's not just a recent COVID BS maneuver. It goes on quite a bit. Who benefits when it's not Election Day, with election night having the winners reported? Well, last year, it benefited Democrats 55% of the time. 55% of the presidential election ballots counted after Election Day were Democrats. How about in 2020? Oh, this is wild. 65%. Remember, it was just too daggone difficult to count them all. People are worried about a virus. They're sending in their 17 mail-in ballots, and we send them. It takes time to process. 65% of those votes that came in after Election Day went to Democrats. 2016, 60%. 2012, 60%. Guys, they've been cheating for years. Cheating for years. Look, I live in one of America's most beautiful cities. It was. Pittsburgh was magical. It was the land of opportunity. It was a land of flavor, a melting pot of opportunity beyond your dreams. I've been here for 28 years, and I've watched it absolutely fall apart. There's garbage everywhere. Nobody picks it up. The streets are for crap, homeless people not getting the help they need. And the same old people voted in year after year. If you're anything like I am, and you see a city that is collapsing, you have to ask yourself, are you willing to stay? Could you fight and make a difference? Or is it just easier to walk away and find a different place? Maybe Lancaster. Thanks for being part of the Wendy Bell Radio program. Love that you were here with us. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Peace.